podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks Coast to Coast on Sunday, August 28th, 2022. This is episode 1922. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Unify Meeting from Mimo Monitors. Unify simplifies your work life by combining your favorite video conferencing solutions into one reliable, universal user interface. Visit unifymeeting.com and enter the code TechGuy for 25% off a year's subscription, or use the same code and get 25% off of any of Mimo's 7-inch displays. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk technology. What does that mean? Well, computers, the internet, home theater. Yes, digital photography. We even talk about space, the final frontier. Anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can reach us by calling through Skype out or something like that. 8888 Ask Leo should be free worldwide. Worldwide. Cool, huh? Website, also free worldwide. The tech, not the, just tech. No definite article, just techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. And I mention that because if you hear something on the show and you say, oh, I got to make a note of that website or that software or whatever, don't worry, because we put that all up on the website after the fact. techguylabs.com. Transcripts from the show go there, audio and video as well. It should take you right to the page. There'll be all the shows there, and this is the latest one, episode 1922. We're in the roaring 20s. Kind of both ways, aren't we? 8888 Ask Leo. Well, the invites went out a couple of days ago. The speculation was accurate. Apple will be having its iPhone event a week from Wednesday, which is usually they do it on Tuesdays, but Labor Day is on the Monday. So September 7th, Apple will have an event. The invites show an apple, either an Alka-Seltzer apple dropping into a glass of water with bubbles coming off, or perhaps it's a space thing, and those are stars. It's kind of unclear. Maybe it is space because then the tagline is far out, which I don't know what that means. There's usually, when Apple sends out invites, a lot of, Kremlinology looking at those, and what does that mean? And we think that the designers at Apple who make these are just laughing, quietly to themselves. Let's see what they make of this. There's one bit of speculation. It's been rumored for a couple of years now that Apple would build in some sort of satellite capability into its iPhone so that if you're outside of cell range, you could still, you wouldn't be able to make phone calls, but you'd be able to send short texts, kind of emergency things, that kind of stuff, which is a cool idea. And I think it might, so you got that space theme and the invite far out, and T-Mobile and SpaceX announced that they're going to do the same thing for T-Mobile customers. Connections to T-Mobile cell phones across the U.S., even in remote areas with no current wireless service. That's going to start they're going to start with text messaging in select markets before the end of 2023. So it's distant. But that might be, Apple says, oh, well, we better, the thing is you have to build that capability into the phones. It requires a special radio in the phone. So it's going to be a hardware manufacturer like Apple that's going to announce it. Anyway, iPhone 14, a week from Wednesday, and the rumors, which were accurate on that, also said that they would be available as usual the following Friday, not the immediately following Friday, a week from the following. Is there a way to say that? The week, the British probably have a way of saying it. The week following after, anyway, the 16th. That's a good way of saying it. The 16th. So the event's the 17th, And then a week and a half later, the iPhones would start arriving at your door if you're really in an urgent need. iPhones, for sure. Apple Watch, for sure, including a new supposedly Pro version that would be, what's Pro mean? More expensive? Oh, yeah, that's it. And probably AirPods. We're kind of due AirPods. I don't pay attention to AirPods. I don't like them. I think they're overpriced. There's so many better choices. I don't pay any attention. But Apple fans do, you know. No, I don't think there'll be iPads or Macs announced on the 7th, a week from Wednesday. I think other stuff. Will be announced. No, I don't think I don't think there will be other stuff on the 7th. I think it will be announced. Other stuff will be announced in October. Okay, enough of that. Enough of that stuff. Micah, who joins me on the Tech Guy every Saturday, will be going to that event. So that's cool. He's going to get to go down and visit the Steve Jobs Theater. A lot of people commenting, asking me about LastPass, because I know a lot of you do. It's the #1 password manager. We have for years recommended the use of password managers. LastPass is a very good one. They were hacked 2 weeks ago. And bad guys, a.k.a. threat actors, not Nicolas Cage, threat actors, stole the company's source code and proprietary technical information. And what people are asking was, well, what does that mean for me as a LastPass user? Probably nothing. At least LastPass says, no passwords, no vaults were compromised. Portions of the source code and proprietary LastPass technical information. Now, I have to say, that could be bad, depending on a couple of things. If there are, for instance, flaws in the source code which are undiscovered, but the bad guys, the threat actors, looking at the source code said, oh, look, here's a problem. That would be bad. And we don't know what the proprietary LastPass technical information is. We don't know what that could be. So LastPass says, in response to the incident, we have deployed containment and mitigation measures and engaged a leading cybersecurity and forensics firm. While our investigations are ongoing, we have achieved a state of containment, which is different from the state of contentment, but, close. A state of containment, implemented additional enhanced security measures, and see no further evidence of unauthorized activity. I'm glad they told us. They didn't tell us right away. Lawrence Abrams from bleepingcomputer.com, very good site, knew about it 2 weeks ago, asked them about it. They didn't say anything. Then maybe they said, well, we had to investigate. We had to think about it. You're supposed to tell people when there's a breach pretty quickly. The law says. 33 million people use LastPass, 100,000 businesses. Always should be concerned when a password manager is compromised because, you've got all the keys to your kingdom in there. I'll certainly keep an eye on this, but so far it doesn't look like there's a massive problem so far. And some nice news about Lieutenant Uhura. She's going to space for one final journey. You may remember we talked about the passing of Nichelle Nichols. And, she was Lieutenant Uhura, the communications officer in Star Trek. She passed away at the age of 89 last month. And Thursday, a private company that specializes in space funerals. Yes, there is such a thing. Celestis announced they're going to carry some of her cremated remains and a DNA sample to deep space. I mean, past where the James Webb Telescope is, past the Lagrange point, way out there. Quote, where they will join the other planets, moons, comets, and asteroids in our solar system on a never-ending journey through the cosmos. They are boldly going where no ashes have ever gone before. No, I made that part up. Actually, it won't just be Nichelle Nichols, the creator of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, will be riding along. Well, his remains. His wife, Majel Barrett Roddenberry, who often played characters in Star Trek, will go along. And Scotty. Captain, I'm going into space. James Doohan. Also, the legendary special effects wizard Douglas Trumbull, who did special effects for Close Encounters in this 2001 and the first motion picture of Star Trek. He will be aboard. And then, by the way, Gene Roddenberry and his wife have been to space before. I guess, they can take little bits. They went up in the Space Shuttle Columbia in 1992. They're spreading them out. In 1997, some of his remains were loaded onto a rocket in the Canary Islands, launched into Earth orbit. They were up there for 5 years, but then re-entered. But this time they're not coming back. They're gone. They'll be gone. Actually, their remains were sent up 2 more times after that. So I guess there's not. This is a little morbid, but how much left is there? Anyway, in 2020, Scotty's ashes were smuggled aboard the International Space Station by a millionaire video game creator and space tourist Richard Garriott. Okay. You can, if you would like, send some of your DNA or a loved one's DNA up with this flight. Pricing starts at a mere $12,500. And they say it will be the most distant permanent human repository outpost in our solar system. Wow. Wow. It's cool, right? It's kind of cool. I'll ask Rod Pyle about it. Actually, Rod will probably be talking about the Artemis launch, which is coming up tomorrow. Very exciting. Rod, I think, he's driving up right now. I think he'll be in studio with us. If not, he'll be on the phone from his car. He's coming up right now, and he'll be here in a couple of hours, if all goes well. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, techguylabs.com, the website. Now you're up to date on space-related stuff. We'll take your calls next. Stay right here. Okay. Hello, Sama Bulbalmedabu. How are you?
Hello, Leo.
Oh, yeah.
I'm well.
Good.
I was down in Southern California for the last few days.
Oh.
Spent some time driving around in the new Lexus RX and the Lucid Air Grand Touring.
I see the Lucid Air behind you.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about the Lucid because I read reports that, they were like having trouble assembling them, and, office staff was coming in to assemble them, and they were, shipping parts via Amazon and stuff, but it's going to be.
Everybody's having trouble with getting cars built these days, including, the legacy automakers. But, for the startups like Lucid and Rivian, they are particularly challenged because when there are shortages of certain components, suppliers are going to say, well, I've got this company that I've been providing parts to for 40 years, and they build millions of cars a year, and you build a few thousand cars. And so whatever's left over after I'm done shipping to these guys, you can have. You're welcome to
right,
it.
Which is not much.
Yeah. And for, both Lucid and Rivian are having this experience right now.
Yeah.
And, even the legacies, are not getting all the parts that they need. I just saw a reporter called me earlier this week to ask about something. I guess GM is shipping some cars from one of their factories without the underhood insulation mat.
Wow.
Because they're not getting it. They don't have enough of them. And, it doesn't affect the functionality. Car might be a little bit noisier.
Right.
You might get a little more engine noise. But it's something that's easy for the dealer to add back in when they get the parts. But it the car still runs fine.
Good.
So
I'll wait. I mean, my lease doesn't run out till Valentine's Day of 2024. So
Yeah, you got some time.
got
Hopefully
some
by
time.
then, a lot of these supply chain issues will be sorted out.
Yeah.
And there will be a lot more EVs on the market. There's a bunch of new stuff coming out. The Lucid is a lovely, lovely car to drive, though.
Oh, yeah? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
But, the one I was driving was $154,000.
Oh, yeah, it should be lovely.
Yeah.
Should be very lovely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not perfect, which is what I want to talk about,
Okay.
which is with how to reboot your car, how to do a control-alt-delete on your car.
Wow.
Which I had to do, essentially.
Holy cow. Hey, can you turn your Scarlett down just a tad? I think you're clipping a little.
Sure.
bit.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah. Talk for a little more.
Okay. Yeah. So California was lovely this week.
Much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll
No
talk
problem.
in a few.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Kim Schaffer, our phone angel, is on the telephone line. Hello, Kim. You own, so yesterday you were wearing a stripey outfit, and again today, you own many stripey outfits, but this is a different stripey outfit.
Yes. And you know what?
What?
Every Saturday and Sunday is very difficult for me.
Why?
Because
I'm going to comment on your outfit?
not you, but just like I feel like I have to wear something different every
No, you
single
don't.
day.
No, you don't.
And for
It's
guys,
radio.
it's like you could put on a black shirt and
I'm wearing the
fine.
same exact outfit I've worn for the last six days. No, you don't have to
And
because
I
it's radio.
am definitely on repeat, but I only have so much,
No,
and
this
I
is
have
cute.
way too much.
This is really cute. This is you look like...
It's a tie-dye. Well, yesterday wasn't really stripes. It was weird waves, but this is
Okay.
one of my plethora of tie-dyes that I have somehow accumulated over COVID.
It's cute, and it's kind of Renaissance-y with the puffy sleeves. I think it's
is.
adorable. It's very nice. Just don't go down by San Quentin, just in case. Don't. Let's put it
not
this way:
that kind of
don't
stripes.
don't hitchhike
I'll wear
near
those
the
stripes
prison
next week.
Yeah, okay.
San Quentin, by the way, some of the most beautiful property in Marin County,
They've
and there's a
got a view.
freaking jail on
They
it.
have a view.
They have a
They're
view.
right there on the bay.
I used to take the ferry for like 16, 18 years, and the prisoners would be out there
Yeah, they
waving.
wave at you.
They wave at you when
Yeah.
you're on the boat. It's nice.
Yeah, I like to sing Johnny Cash songs as I'm sailing by. I don't know why. There's something about it. Hey, who should we start the show with today?
Let's go to Al in Riverside.
Al?
His I think his Amazon products are acting up with his internets.
And he's calling me?
Well, yeah, maybe Dr. Mom.
Call Jeff Bezos.
Call Jeff Bezos.
Don't call me. No, I'll talk to him. Al in Riverside. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the show,
Yeah.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yeah, right on, man. This is very cool. Yeah. So I'm very close to changing internet providers because I think I'm out of troubleshooting options. I have a T-Mobile home internet service, which is, a box that they give
Yeah,
you.
that's
and,
the new residential stuff T-Mobile and Verizon are doing. And the price is good. The speeds are good.
Price is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a PC, and it has I put an antenna thing on it, and it works fine. I have a tablet that works fine. Obviously, my phone I'm talking to you on works fine. My brother gave me a smart TV
Yeah.
that his son is going to have to come over and show me how to work. But when it works, it works. I mean, when we turn it on, it works fine.
It's kind of embarrassing when the TV is smarter than you are, isn't it?
Yeah, at least they call it smart, so you don't feel too bad.
Just complicated. Let's just call it a complicated TV instead of smart. It's not that smart. If it was that smart, it would just turn itself on and work. Yeah.
That's a better word, complicated TV.
So what does the T-Mobile not work with, I guess, is the question.
It apparently seems to be the only culprits in my house are my 3 Echo products.
Okay. So it's not unusual for IoT, Internet of Things devices, and these Echoes are IoT devices, to have problems with Wi-Fi if you have multi-band Wi-Fi. Does that, I bet it does, that T-Mobile does 5 gigahertz as well as 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't listen to your show all the time, but I listen to it enough to hear you tell the stories about, take your vacuum cleaner down the street
Yes.
and hook it to the
Yes.
2.4.
Yes. Take your Echoes down the street. They won't work. It won't help. So see if you can, in the T-Mobile, see if there is a setting, or call T-Mobile and ask if there's a way they can do it to temporarily turn off the 5 gigahertz band.
There is, and I have. I've tried lots of different troubleshooting things, including getting a whole new box from T-Mobile, because Amazon says it's them, and they say it's Amazon, and you know how that goes. So I spent a week or two with it just on the 2.4. There's a setting for that, and nothing got any better. Then I went back to just put it on the 5G and lock it on there and see how that goes. And anytime I do this, I'm like resetting all of my devices.
Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, yeah.
And because it was on 2.4 and 5. So I don't know any other troubleshooting things I need to do before I just need to call a different internet provider, because I am really spoiled by these Echo products. I'm a totally blind person.
Oh,
and I love music. So
huge.
I listen to music.
Yeah, because there's you could do it all with your voice.
And I just can ask it stuff, and and it's very, very cool. So I'm very spoiled with those things.
One more thing to try from Dr. Mom, our Echo expert. She's back in the chat room. We missed you, Dr. Mom. She says they tend to remember previously used networks. In fact, if you go to the ALEXA app in your phone, you'll see. Yeah. And in fact, even when you turn it on, it says, I remember this network. You're going to have to clear it. You're going to have to clear the devices so that it will start over.
I have done the factory reset on the device.
Oh, crumb.
Every time I switched it from one to the other, I did.
Can you change the name of the 5G to something else so that you can explicitly join the 2.4? Sometimes that's the other way to go. Say, this is Al's just one of them. Say Al's 5G. Name it that, and then you can avoid it. That's one other thing to try. Hey, Sam Abuelsamid, car guy, coming up next.
Thanks.
Don't go away yet. I just had to break. I had a break.
Okay, all right.
Not a factory reset, but forget the network, and that's stored with Amazon. So
that would be in the app that's on my phone?
It'd be in the app. You want to forget the networks in the app.
Forget the networks. Yeah. Is it true, though, that the Echoes are always looking for 2.4 and not 5G?
I don't know. I don't know that. It shouldn't be joining a 5G network, but because it has the same name, it's possible that it did join the 5G network thinking, well, I'm going to have connectivity, and then it didn't. So you want to kind of, that's all I can think of. Otherwise, it should work. What I ended up doing, it's not going to be practical with the T-Mobile residential service, but what I ended up doing is actually having a segregated, they call it a virtual network, or VLAN, just for IoT. That's only 2.4 gigahertz. So this doesn't have a problem. So I'm guessing. So a couple of things to try. One is if it'll let you name the different bandwidth spectrum, different names. Okay. That's one thing. The other, but first thing I do, the easiest thing is check in that Alexa app.
Okay.
And see if you can forget those networks.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Good luck.
Enjoy your program.
Hey, I'm glad you listened. Thanks, Al.
You bet.
Take care.
Around.
Bye-bye. You're right. It is sponsor time, isn't it? And I want to tell you about the coolest thing ever. So let's turn that lady off and talk to you about MIMO monitors, MIMO monitors, and their Unify Meeting project. MIMO monitors are the global experts in video conferencing solution. In fact, stay tuned because I got a great discount on their 7-inch monitor that you plug into your computer, and then you just have all your conference calls on that. Whether you're working in the office, whether you're working remotely, maybe you're hybrid, back and forth, Unify, their solution, their software solution, Unify Meeting, simplifies your work life by combining Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and Google Meet into one reliable program. So, we all have this experience, right? We use Google Meet for our company stuff. We use Zoom for all of our shows. And, of course, people are always Zooming us. We use Microsoft Teams. Premier uses Microsoft Teams. So I've got all 3 apps on my computer, and it's like confusing. And invariably, when I'm using Google Meet, I hang up because Where I think on Zoom, the button to unmute my microphone is in the same position as the hang up button on Meets. So I invariably hang up. They know, oh, yeah, Leo's going to disappear from the call and then come back because he hangs up by accident. That's why Unify Meeting is such a good idea. One single user interface for all three. It's intuitive, an easy-to-use software solution that simplifies your work life by combining your favorite video conferencing solutions into one reliable, universal interface. No more hanging up, for me anyway. It eliminates the hassle, saves you time. Unify takes the guesswork, the frustration out of video conferencing, no matter what platform you're using, because the buttons, the commands are all in the same place, even if you're on a Zoom call, a Teams call, or a Meet call. It's a really brilliant idea. You can navigate between meetings easily. You don't have to worry about keeping track of different apps or updating the apps or whatever, always on your desktop but never in your way. Unify Meeting does something I really like. If you do a lot of these virtual meetings, it puts your calendar up. So you see what the next meeting is, and all you have to do is click it, and boom, that you're in the call with that standardized UI. I think that's so brilliant. Unify is ideal on a second or third display. Because then, in fact, these 7-inch MIMO monitors are great for Unify because you just keep it running. So that's my calendar. And then when I have to go to a meeting, I click that and boom, I'm in the call. You can still see if you want, if you have the second screen or the third screen, the original video conferencing UI on your primary screen. So if you want to change the settings in Zoom or whatever, that's there. But Unify Meeting is on the little monitor. You don't have to do it that way, but it's a really nice way to do it. It works on Windows, it's PC compatible, $35.88 for a whole year, $35.88 for the whole year. Or when you buy, and this is the best way to go, a MIMO monitor display, it's free. It's kind of bundled with the display. So try Unify for your team at work. They will love you. They will thank you. Try it for yourself. UnifyMeeting.com, UnifyMeeting.com. Enter the code TechGuy, and you'll get 25% off a year's subscription. Or, and this is what I would do, in fact, it's what I did, use the same code to get 25% off any of MIMO's 7-inch displays. So then you get the display and the Unify Meeting, right? For free. Simplify with Unify. I love this idea. Thank you, MIMO Monitors, for supporting the Tech Guy show. And we thank Unify Meeting as well. A great solution. UnifyMeeting.com. Don't forget that the offer code is TechGuy. Thank you, Mimo. Now back to the show. Yeah, I've noticed that, Mom. Dr. Mom. I noticed that, Mom. Dr. Mom. She's not my mom. She's a doctor and a mom. But that was helpful for me with my mom because I got her a new Kindle, and she doesn't remember her, anything, her Amazon password, anything. But I made sure when I sent it to her that it was not a setup with my account, because that's the default. But there's a little checkbox when you buy it. Don't set it up ahead of time. And the nice thing is when she got it, she turned it on and said, if you have a Kindle app on your phone, we can use that to set up. And she did. She opened her Kindle app, and Amazon remembered the Wi-Fi password, the log, and everything. So it really, I was a little nervous about having to, over the phone kind of help her set up the Kindle, but it worked very nicely. So I understand why they do it. I do understand why they do it. Yeah, I use GNOME Alpine. I use, or GNOME, I guess it's GNOME. I use GNOME everywhere. I like GNOME. KDE has too many settings. I don't want to customize it that much, but GNOME is out of the box pretty much what I want. I do use a number of extensions. I use the dock to panel extension because I like it. Have a menu bar at the bottom and stuff like that. My chicken soup came out very nicely, Doc. We're going to be having chicken soup for dinner, I think. Unless Rod shows up, in which case I'll be having Rod for dinner. No, that came out wrong. Time to drive on out to Ypsilanti, Michigan, to say hello to Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights, podcaster at wheelbearings.media, and my car guy. Hello, Sam. You were in SoCal this week.
I was, yeah. It's spent the last 2 days in Southern California. Flew into LA, picked up a Lucid Air Grand Touring, and drove that up to Santa Barbara to drive another car.
The Lucid Air, and it's behind you in your video. It looks very luxurious. It's a kind of high-end EV, right?
It is very much a luxury EV. The CTO and now CEO of Lucid Motors is a guy named Peter Rawlinson, who prior to joining Lucid, he was the chief engineer for the Model S at Tesla. And I interviewed Peter on stage at South by Southwest this year, and you can, if you look for South by Southwest, Peter Rawlinson or my name on YouTube, you can find that interview. We talked for about an hour, and this is a lovely car. It unlike the Model S and the Model X, which have luxury car pricing, they've never really felt very luxurious inside. They've always had kind of a cheaper feel to them compared to, say, a Mercedes or a BMW. And this car really has that very premium feel to it, the materials, the fit and finish and everything. And it was a fantastic car to drive. And I got to put a couple hundred miles on it over the last few days and was very impressed with it.
That's one of the complaints I always had about Tesla. I had a Model X, which was like $130,000. They're priced like luxury vehicles, but they felt a little Spartan to me. They always felt a little Spartan. Having driven before the Tesla a Audi A8, which is a luxury, almost a limousine, I was a little disappointed by the Model X.
And one of the things I like about the Lucid is I think it has a better balance of a combination of physical controls and virtual controls.
And that's why I didn't buy a Model 3, because so many of the controls are on the screen.
Everything is in the touchscreen.
Yeah, and I feel like that's dangerous almost. Like
it's not only is it dangerous, but it's also it can be extremely inconvenient, as I learned. In the case of the Lucid, it's got physical controls for temperature and fan speed, for the climate control, for the transmission shift, for the wipers. But when on Friday morning, when I went to put in a destination into the navigation, as I was getting ready to go drive another car, which I'm not allowed to talk about just yet, I said, navigate to Presqu'île Winery, and it responded, said, "Yep, finding directions to Presqu'île Winery," and then that was it. It stopped cold. Yeah, the entire infotainment system just locked up solid. Wouldn't respond to any touches. Nothing displayed. And so I said, okay. I pulled up the directions on my phone. And just turned up the volume for Google Maps.
So you could still drive. Everything else worked.
Yeah, it drove. The instrument cluster portion of the screen worked fine, just not the infotainment.
So they separate, and I think this is a good thing. They separate those two computers.
Well, and they have to for safety reasons. The instrument cluster has to be a safety-rated system, a real-time system, whereas the infotainment doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But as we get into more and more of these software-defined vehicles, as people start to get these vehicles, one of the things that you'll want to learn before you drive it
is how to reset
what is the process for resetting. And back in the mid 2000s, when I was still working as an engineer, this is when Microsoft was first starting to get into trying to do car software, and they did the operating system that easy. Ford used for their first generation of Sync.
Control-Alt-Delete, right?
Yeah. Well, this was the running joke, among engineers at the time. And tech people, if you've got a car running Microsoft Windows, what happens when it crashes, when it inevitably crashes? It's like, well, you pull over, you have to close all the windows, shut off the car, get out, get back in, restart it, and then reopen all your windows. That was a joke at the time because, it didn't actually work that way. But today, it's actually not that far off what you have to do in the case of some of these cars that are so software defined. For example, if you have a Tesla and your infotainment system crashes, the two little scroll wheels on the steering wheel I guess you have to press and hold those for a few seconds, and that will force a reset of the system most of the time. Similarly for Rivian, they've got scroll wheels and rockers on the steering wheel spokes. You got to press the outer portion of the rocker switches for a few seconds to get it to reboot. I figured I'd go ahead and
on my Mustang Mach-E, you have to hit 3 buttons. It's kind of like Control-Alt-Delete on the steering wheel, and I can never remember it. But fortunately, they actually build the manual. Oh well, wait a minute. The manual would be broken too if the.
Yeah, well, then this was the problem with the Lucid. The owner's manual is digital in the infotainment system,
Yeah,
so I couldn't look it up.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd drive a little bit and see if it timed out and reset itself, because I've had other vehicles in the past that sometimes the system will crash and then it'll just reboot itself automatically. After 20 minutes, it still hadn't rebooted. So I pulled over and pulled up my phone and looked up how to reboot Lucid Air.
Yeah.
And it turns out the process for doing a hard reset on the Lucid Air is to put on one of the turn signals. Doesn't matter which one, because all you're doing is using it as an indicator. You get out of the car, tap your key card on the pillar.
Get out of the car to do this?
Lock the door, and then walk away out of range of the key fob. So about 20, 25 feet away from the car. And then when you see the turn signal stop and shut off, that's your clue that, okay, the system has actually shut down.
That's a deal breaker.
And it's restarting.
Sorry. I'm not going to do that. If you can't restart it while you're driving it, that's really problematic.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I mean, the software on all of these new EVs, especially from legacy automakers, but even from startups, but even from legacy automakers. It's a computer. It's still very much a work in progress.
My Tesla Model X, it crashed a couple of times over 3 years. My Mach-E has crashed twice over the last year and a half. It's not a big deal. You're driving. Everything's fine. Although I think because it crashed, I lost the cameras for backing up. So that's why you don't want to have to stop, get out of the car, walk away. You should be able to do it from the steering wheel, which you can on both the Tesla and the Ford Mach-E. I think Lucid may have to adjust this.
And my guess is they probably will make some changes to that. I mean, they're aware of this issue.
Yeah.
When I dropped off the car yesterday, I was talking to the rep about that, and he said, yeah, that's something they've seen.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that they will probably create a simpler process for forcing that reboot.
We probably shouldn't use the word crash when it comes to a computer system in a car. We'll come up with another name.
Unfortunately, depending on what computer system it is, it could ultimately lead to a crash.
Yes.
I mean, the infotainment system is probably not going to cause a crash. But although
I have to listen
the frustration
to that
of it
Spears
could
song
cause
over and over and over, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah. So if you're getting a new car that has a lot of software defined stuff in it, make sure you figure out early on how to do a reboot, because chances are at some point you are going to have to do that. Yeah. And you don't want to do that when you're off somewhere remote where you don't have any cell signal to look it up on your phone.
Good point. Good point. Maybe put a little Post-it note on the steering wheel.
Yeah, just stick a little note in the glove box.
It doesn't happen that often, fortunately. But computer systems occasionally will get lost in space, and you need to fix it. Wow! But otherwise, you like the car.
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was fantastic. It's
nice,
fast. It's luxurious. It looks great.
It really does look pretty.
It's surprisingly roomy.
Sam Abuelsamid. He gets to drive all the new cars. Lucky dog. Principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights, our car guy. Listen to his podcast, Wheel Bearings. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Leo.
So they didn't put a paper manual in the Lucid, like a booklet?
No, not in the one that I was driving anyway. I don't think that's something to do. And
the car
increasingly automakers are not doing that.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
At most, what you get often in many newer cars is one of those quick start guides.
Right.
That's about it.
Just like a computer.
Yeah.
It's just like technology. Ford has a very nice manual, which I like to read the manual cover to cover. The Chevy Bolt did. The Mini did, and I like to do that, but I never remember the reset because you use it so seldom. So I always have to look that one up.
I rarely look at them. I mean, because I jump in and out of different cars all the time, I don't look at the manuals. I try to see, how intuitive is it
Right.
to figure out how to do this stuff without reading the manual.
Oh.
And then, I go to the manual as a last resort to figure out if there's something I just cannot find anywhere. Then I will go to the manual and look up how to do it, or hit up YouTube or something like that.
Right.
But increasingly they're not even doing printed manuals anymore.
Do you want to stick around, answer some questions?
Sure.
I know one thing a couple people wanted to know is the range on the Lucid.
Yeah, so it depends on the configuration you get. So the one I had was the Grand Touring with the 21-inch wheels. The base version of the Grand Touring is on 19-inch wheels. So larger wheels will reduce your range because of the extra weight, extra rolling resistance. I think this version is about 470 to 480 miles.
Holy cow! How big is the battery in that thing?
115 kilowatt hours.
Holy
so it's a little
moly.
bit bigger than what you get in the big.
My Mustang's 88.
Model S and X.
To give you an idea.
No, you're 88 usable. 93 total.
Right. And I had a P90 for the Model X, which is 90 kilowatt hours. So
this version with the 19-inch wheels is rated at 520 miles. So
they're really pushing that.
Yeah. And one of the things that Rawlinson really focused on in the design of this vehicle was on efficiency. So they, over the course of several years, when I first saw this thing in late 2016, I saw the first prototype and did a VR walk around with Peter and with Derek Jenkins, the head of design, and then saw the physical prototype. Between that time and when it actually made it in production, there were several years where they were trying to raise the capital to build the factory. And it wasn't clear that they were going to make it. And they were on the verge of bankruptcy multiple times. But they finally did raise the money and got their factory built. But in that interim, they did a lot of re-engineering work on it and learned a lot about efficiency of getting the maximum work out of the least amount of battery. So this is one of the most efficient EVs you can get. They did a lot of redesign work on the battery pack, on the power electronics, on the motors. The motors are very compact. You can actually fit the motors for this thing into a carry-on bag, standard carry-on bag. And the trunk in this thing is big enough that you can actually put 4 standard carry-on bags in the trunk, like standing up on their side.
Nice.
in the trunk, and another one in the front trunk.
Nice.
So there's a lot of space in here, and the back seat is much larger. There's a lot more passenger volume than the Model S.
Wow. What's the lowest cost Lucid going to be? Do you know?
The Pure Edition that comes out later this fall is going to start at $87,000.
Okay.
And that will have a range of about 400 miles.
Thank you, Sam. Stick around for the top.
Yep.
All right. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I hope not the Sandman. I hope not putting you to sleep. 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Talking high tech with Carmine from Naples, Florida. How'd you do in the poker championships?
Well, I got knocked out on day 3 just before the money, but I did enter some other events and made some money there. So overall, it was a good trip.
It's respectable.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
It was very fun. I didn't. I just wanted to let you know too that your suggestion for doing YouTube download did work with Paramount Plus, but I didn't get on TV, so I didn't bother giving it to my parents. But it's one of those things.
Next time.
It did work though.
Next time.
Next time.
Next time.
Yeah, it's always next year.
So you are. So I have said in the past.
Yeah.
That personal car ownership is ultimately doomed. I don't mean trucks.
Right.
Obviously, work vehicles people are always going to need, but there is a huge amount of waste in making. We have 3 personal vehicles in my family. We need them right now because we go different places and so forth. But ultimately, if ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft succeed, and you have autonomous vehicles, the idea in my head in the coming years is you need to go somewhere. You'll get a car will come to you. You'll get in it, and it'll drive you there. Instead of right now, my car's sitting in the parking lot. It's going to sit there for hours unused.
Right. So let me make a couple points on that. Number one, the reason why the cars last 12 to 15 years is we don't use them.
You hardly use them. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So if everybody, if you had constant cars on the road all the time, they would probably need to be replaced 3 to 5 years or something like that.
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
So. But I think your heart's in the right place on this. I want to make a couple points on it. I think what you're advocating for requires more Americans to live in big cities, right? So according to Pew Research, which is a very reputable research firm, they say that 19% of Americans, only 19%, are interested in living in big cities, and that's actually down from 23% before the pandemic. And my second point on this is that my parents immigrated from Europe. They came here for a lot of freedoms and basically for a lot of quality of life. And very few people in my parents' home country had single-family homes, garages, owned their own cars, backyards, and so forth. I think of that as the American dream. And they were basically dependent on others or the government for transportation. And I think this won't be acceptable to the vast majority of people, especially since we're a country that is built on immigration, and a lot of people came here for those types of freedoms and quality of life. So
some of the reasons people don't want to live in cities is because the suburbs gutted the cities, right? And the suburbs existed because we built very strong interstate highway systems, and we all had cars. So it's a little bit self-fulfilling. Yeah, I don't want to live in the city because I don't want to live in a concentrated area because we have the suburbs and we have cars and we have this highway system, which made it possible. It's not so much this is my prescription for the future. I think it's just going to happen. And certainly if you live in a cornfield in Nebraska, you're going to need a vehicle, obviously. But we also need to work on mass transit. I think mass transit would be preferable, frankly, to self-driving car share solutions. But we need to do both. We need a high-speed rail system. And the real reason is because vehicles are killing this country. It's dangerous to walk anywhere now because there's so many cars. The emissions from ICE vehicles, fortunately, I think, we're moving away from gas vehicles. But right now, the emissions from ICE vehicles are a significant contribution to global warming. So I just feel like we've kind of I think we made a mistake at the turn of the last century. Going all in on gas-fueled vehicles. And I know the American dream is all about driving your own car across the country. We all want to be Jack Kerouac on the road. But I think it, in hindsight, might not have been ideal. And, of course, there's also jet travel and cruise ship travel and all sorts of other kinds of travel that are problematic as well. I don't know. So you don't think I guess I should probably include Sam Abuelsamid in this conversation. He's still here. You don't think that this idea of at least the majority, let's say the majority of personal vehicles replaced by mass transit and ride sharing, you don't think that's going to happen?
I don't think it will be acceptable to the vast majority of people. I mean, I think, imagine a politician saying that you are advocating what you're advocating for. And again, I think your heart's in the right place. I'm very concerned about the environment. I own an electric vehicle. Yeah. I think they're great. I think everybody should buy an electric vehicle. But I think let's imagine a politician running for president.
Oh, I agree. It's pretty unpalatable. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just another thing is that I have. My parents came here for that quality of life and those freedoms, the white picket fence, the cars in the garage, the ability to go anywhere you want without being dependent on someone else.
Sure, but that American dream seems to be going south pretty quick.
Well, I don't want to get into that, but it's just one of those things that we have to improve on. And I think when you were probably my age, I think frankly the middle class was a lot stronger during the 80s and the 90s than it is now. Yep. And I think, if we look at some of the policies that were in place then, I think that would fix a lot of those things. But in any event, I think that... I wish
I could ride my bike everywhere, my e-bike. I wish I could walk more. In fact, I just mapped out a walking route that's only going to involve me risking my life for about a third of it, because there's hardly any sidewalks in the area. I feel like we could have done better. Now, Sam, I think this is a good conversation. I'm actually very glad you called, Carmine, because I think your points, of course, are very well taken. What do you think, Sam?
I think that we actually do need to get far fewer vehicles on the road and have higher levels of utilization of the vehicles, especially with mass transit and transit systems. If you look at the fatality data from the last 10 years, if you take a look at the federal fatal accident reporting system, for example, from NHTSA, the number of people dying from vehicle occupants dying in crashes has actually been relatively flat, at least until the last year and a half, 2 years, where we had a lot of people driving a lot faster and a lot more recklessly during the pandemic. But prior to that, we had a relatively flat rate of fatalities for vehicle occupants.
Yeah, safety in vehicles has gone way up.
Yeah,
however,
where we saw the big increases was
pedestrians.
in pedestrians and cyclists.
Yeah,
because cars are getting bigger. They're getting heavier. They have far worse visibility out of these big trucks and SUVs. A lot of times, drivers in the vehicles just can't even see pedestrians, and so you're much more likely to get hit and killed if you're a pedestrian or a cyclist or a motorcyclist than you were 10 years ago. And from a sustainability standpoint, we just replacing all the gas vehicles with electric vehicles is not going to solve our problems. We actually need to use fewer vehicles, use them more efficiently, because it's not just the emissions, the direct emissions from burning gasoline or diesel, but there's all kinds of other things. We've got pollutants in the air from brake pads. We've got tire detritus. Tires. Yeah. Tires is one of the biggest things. One of the biggest causes of particulate emissions is your tires. As that rubber wears down, you're getting rubber particles in the air that's getting into people's lungs and causing a lot of respiratory damage.
There's a good argument for more mass transit. I mean, but obviously in rural areas, in suburbs, that's going to be difficult. I understand. Yeah. And we
need multiple modes of transportation. Yeah. There isn't one single solution.
Yeah.
You need a combination of, shared, smaller mobility, personal vehicles, mass transit, micromobility. You need all of these.
One of the reasons people don't want to live in cities is you can't walk around a city. In cities in Europe where there's no vehicles, no cars, it's incredible. We love it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Carmine. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll be back with more right after this. I've been... your points are excellent, Carmine. I completely agree with you. I've been a little bit propagandized by the subreddit F Cars.
Yeah, I understand. And so a couple points I would like to make to what Sam said. And I'm a big fan of you, Sam. I listen every Sunday mainly because of you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Big fan. So, one of the problems with mass transit is the crime. If you look in New York City, I think the MTA had admitted this is when all the crime on the subway is down like 50% since the pre-pandemic levels, and remote work has a lot to do with that too. But they predict it'll take 30 years for mass transit to come back to 2019 levels in New York City. So because of all they cite crime and remote work as part of that. And as far as the cyclists, I have sympathy, but to me, I think more people would have sympathy if the cyclists also advocated for rights to the roadway, but also to the same responsibilities to the roadway. So, for example, if they paid like the registration fees and the tolls and all the other fees for the drivers pay, I think more people would be kind of acceptable to having.
I'm willing to pay gas taxes as a bicyclist. I'll pay the taxes on the gas.
Yep. I know you are, but I'm not sure if a lot of other people are, frankly. No. Yeah.
Yeah, paying some kind of usage fees, to contribute to infrastructure development, for cyclists.
First, get the infrastructure. No cyclist is going to pay for the crap we have right now. It's deadly to ride a bike out there.
Yeah, and the reality is it's the big vehicles that are doing the damage to the roads. If everybody was riding bicycles, roads would last 100 years. It's 4, 5, 6, 8,000 pound, 9,000 pound Hummer EVs. That's what does damage to the roads. It's not bicycles. And so the roads would last a lot longer, and we wouldn't have to spend as much.
I think, though, Carmine, you're right. No politician. It's not going to happen. Yeah. There's no political will to do this, and it's not going to happen in this country politically. Economics might drive it, however. I
understand.
I think, and those changes will happen slowly, but I do think that they will happen over time.
But do you agree, Sam? Do you agree that if, let's say, for example, the Leo scenario comes to pass, and all the cars are self-driving, and they come to you and are used 24 hours a day, around the clock, they would last a lot shorter than cars last now, right?
Oh, absolutely. But the thing is, you can also re-architect these vehicles. So, I mean, for example, if you look at taxi cabs, that are running 24 hours a day, look at New York City taxi cabs that are running 24 hours a day. They don't have generally don't have as long a lifespan as a personal use vehicle, because they might be racking up, 50, 75, 100,000 miles a year, as opposed to 12 to 15,000 miles a year for the average vehicle. But you can architect those types of vehicles in a fundamentally different way if they're going to be a shared used vehicle, so it does last. You look at transit buses or school buses. School buses, or transit buses last 12, 20 years or more, depending on the use case. And if you looked at it, for a robo-taxi, for example, instead of taking a conventional vehicle that we have today and just slapping a bunch of sensors on it and having it drive itself, and using that same type of vehicle architecture, you could use a similar model to commercial aircraft. Commercial aircraft, the airframe is designed to last 20 to 30 years. The engines, typically go about 4 to 5 years, I think, between major overhauls. And usually every 3 to 5 years, an airline will do a major overhaul in the plane where they will strip out the seats, strip out the carpets, strip out the interiors, clean everything up, put new seats in, or at least recover the seats, things like that. But the airframe itself continues flying for 25 years. So if you designed these mobility vehicles in a similar kind of way, where, for example, you could use a carbon fiber structure that is not particularly recyclable, but is very light, very strong, very durable. And then, you could swap out the seats, you could swap out the motors, every 5 or 10 years. You swap out some of the other electronics as those things get more advanced, put in newer, lower cost, more efficient systems. So having something that is modular and can be kept in service, keep the expensive parts in service for a long time, while replacing some of the things that do wear out, that you could have a more sustainable system, transportation ecosystem that way.
Yeah, I understand. I just think it's pretty tough because that looks good on paper. I don't know how it would work practically, but we'll see. I appreciate you having me on, though, and I appreciate you taking my question.
Yeah, happy to talk about it. I mean, to give you an example, there are companies that are developing these types of vehicles. For example, Cruise, the company that's owned by GM and Honda, that is developing automated driving systems and running them in San Francisco right now. They have developed a vehicle called the Origin, which is targeting to go into service in 2023. It's a purpose-built robotaxi. It follows this kind of model where you have a structure, it's designed specifically for this use case. It's not a converted conventional vehicle. So it's designed for this kind of mass transit commercial fleet use case, and it will be able to swap out those kinds of components. Similarly, Zoox and other companies are also developing similar types of vehicles. So we will see some of those types of vehicles on the roads, and keeping them in, if they're designed the right way, you can keep them in service for a long time, because things like electric motors, unlike internal combustion engines, electric motors can last far longer than an internal combustion engine. You can conceivably have motors that run for 1 million miles, as opposed to 100, 150, maybe 200,000 miles before you require an overhaul on an internal combustion engine. Batteries, depending on what type of battery you use, if you're using lithium iron phosphate batteries, again, those things can last 1 million miles. They don't have quite as much energy capacity as a nickel-based battery, but they can be used for a very long time, and they are cheaper. They can be recharged many more times than the types of batteries we use in most EVs today. So there are ways around this, and companies are looking at what is the best combination for different use cases. And I think the key is, and back when I first started writing professionally 16 years ago, one of the first kind of feature pieces that I wrote was about the end of the petroleum monoculture. In nature, monocultures are always a bad idea. They always eventually collapse. Because you get something, and whether that's in nature, the same thing applies to technology as well. Monocultures are not a bad idea, a good idea. You want diversity of different types of solutions, because as they say, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And the same is true for vehicles. If the reality is in transportation, we have a lot of different needs in transportation. We have people that need to take, in some cases, a lot of people following the same route day after day after day. Mass transit works great there. Buses, subways, great solution there. But you also have, coming off of those trunk routes, you have smaller, less dense routes where, combinations of things like micromobility, scooters, bikes, even robo-taxis feeding into those trunk routes, can provide better solutions. Then you've got people who can't drive conventional vehicles because of physical limitations like eyesight, or other physical limitations. And a robo-taxi is a great solution for getting those people around. Also, automated, smaller automated commercial vehicles for doing deliveries. So the moving to a more diverse transportation ecosystem is going to be essential to solving the kinds of problems that we have to deal with in the different kinds of environments that we live in, whether that's urban, suburban, or rural.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Carmine. Moving
Rant
on.
completed.
Have a great week, and we'll talk
You
next
too.
week. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater. And yeah, we could debate some of the topics, some of the changing things around us. One thing we haven't debated lately is artificial intelligence. Yeah, just saying. 8888 Ask Leo. Remember we talked about the guy who worked at Google who said, "Oh my gosh, it's alive. It's alive." He was talking about Google's Lambda, which was able to have conversations that he felt were so impressive that he thought it had attained consciousness. Experts immediately, including Google, weighed in and said, no, you're nuts. In fact, they fired him. You could say cover up, or you could say, no, you're nuts. I don't think we have any fear yet of computers becoming conscious in the sense that we are conscious. But, they're working on it. 8888 Ask Leo. We can talk about that. Anything that's on your mind. I'm going to go right back to the phones here. Jimmy's on the line from Cottontown, Tennessee. Hello, Jimmy.
Hi, Leo. This is actually Kenny from Cottontown.
Kenny, I always say, I know you're Kenny. What am I saying? Sorry about that. Yes. Welcome, Kenny.
Hey, it's good to talk to you again. I figured I would catch you right before the Labor Day weekend. I thought I'd just give you a little update. Remember the last time that I called you, I said that I was going back to college.
Yes.
And and originally my major was going to be basically retail. Well, I switched it to business analytics. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to incorporate some tech into it, because I listen to your show all the time, and I'm just thinking to myself, well, why am I messing around with something that I'm not interested in? And if you can do something that you're interested in, it opens up a world of different opinions. And it really has, as far as what I'm learning, especially in this upcoming semester, I'm learning accounting, I'm learning statistics, and I'm learning how to program, which is the main reason I'm calling you.
Excellent. Good. All three important. And I agree with you. I tell this to my kids, and I think so far it's worked out. You will always succeed and do much better if you do something you really care about, you're really interested in. It will work out. Don't force yourself to do something you don't like. I don't think that's a good solution. So good. I'm glad you had that revelation and started doing it. So what's your question? You want to talk about programming? Is that what you called for?
Yeah, kind of, because I know you're the Linux guy.
My favorite subject. I don't talk about coding much on the show because it is kind of a higher end topic for computers, but it's my hobby for sure. It's something I love doing. So what could I
getting the kick out of it?
Yeah, are you studying Python? What are you studying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Although I've hit sort of a brick wall in the web application because I'm using Windows, so I figured might as well try Python out on Linux to see if there's any difference. And I was wondering, what version of Linux would you recommend me trying to look for?
You have a PC you're going to put it on?
Yes.
What kind of PC is it?
Well, I'm still using the Mac. I'm using Parallel's desktop.
Okay. So you're using a Mac. I'll be honest. If you're using a Mac, Linux is not really necessary because the stuff that you want to study really it requires a Unix, and the Mac is a Unix. It has BSD under the hood. So before you rush off to get to know Linux, I would get to know the terminal on your Macintosh, and in particular, a program called Homebrew, which is at brew.sh on the internet. Homebrew makes the Mac more Linux-like in that it's a package manager. So when you, for instance, you can install for Python. Generally, there are a number of ways to install Python. You probably don't want to just install Python raw. You can do that in Homebrew, but you can also install some of the, Python envelope installers, which is probably a better way to go with Python. Python's a little weird because there's so many different versions and they're so incompatible with one another. It's one of the reasons I don't like Python actually, but it is kind of probably the best. That and JavaScript, probably the best languages to learn for what you want to do. So PyEnv, P-Y-E-N-V, can be installed with Homebrew, and then from then on, you'll use it and pip to continue to install other parts of the Python environment. So you don't need Linux. If you want, I would install Linux on a Mac. I think that's gilding the lily. If you had an old PC lying around, my preferred Linux is called Manjaro, M-A-N-J-A-R-O. It's at manjaro.org. And it's kind of the best of both worlds in a Linux. It's a rolling release, so it's always up to date, always the latest versions. But it also has some good security features and a very good package manager. So it's my kind of preferred Linux. And it also, the other nice feature is it works with almost all PCs. One of the problems with Linux is a lot of PCs require proprietary drivers. Linux is a non-proprietary open operating system. And some Linux distros say, we're not going to install proprietary drivers. In fact, the folks who do Debian, who are most famous for this, saying, we're going to be pure, just this week said, we're going to have to start looking at being less pure because people are having trouble getting it working on a variety of PCs. Installing NVIDIA drivers, for instance, on some PCs really does make life a lot easier. So being a purist with Linux is a problem. So I would take a look at Brew on your Mac. I think everything you want to do, including getting a great Python environment, can be done on a Mac. VS Code runs on a Mac. That's a great way to program in Python. I think probably you have everything you need. I would start there anyway. I would try that. Okay.
That gives me some good ideas.
Yeah. How exciting. What are you, is it beginning coding that you're learning?
Yeah, basically, what I did is I actually installed Python on my Parallels desktop Windows 11 virtual.
Oh yeah. No, Python's much better on a Mac. Don't do it in Windows.
Yeah, I'm starting.
You're finding out. That's very frustrating. Yeah, do it on a Mac. Yeah. Hey, congratulations, Kenny. I think your instinct was good. Do what you love. Pursue that. Absolutely. And good luck.
Well,
keep in touch so we know how you're progressing.
Yeah, well, with the way things are going with the courses that I'm learning, it's probably going to be a long time before I can call you again.
Yeah. Good to work, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kenny.
I guess so.
Congratulations.
Have a good day, Leo.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Now we go to Louisville, Kentucky. Ben. Ben's got the radio turned on a little loud. Turn that radio off, Ben. There we go. Hi, Ben.
How are you doing, Leo?
I'm great. Welcome.
I am having a Linode problem also.
Oh, more Linux issues. Oh, the people on the radio stations are loving this. They say, we need more Linux programming.
Yes, sir. Well, my Linode is being DOS attacked, and I don't know what to do about it.
Okay, so Linode is a cloud provider, a great cloud provider. They run Linux in the cloud. In fact, they were for a long time a sponsor of our shows. They're owned by Akamai, which is a really nice company. In fact, Akamai has DDoS protection, so you might want to inquire about that. So somebody's hitting your server, huh?
Yes, it's a Debian 9 server. The reason I went with 9 is because the particular game I'm trying to host on there requires that.
Sure.
And the problem is that randomly today, I woke up to seeing that the server the networking part of it was disabled to protect it from this said attack.
Because you were flooded.
I looked at, and I called their support. They sent me the logs, and I don't know what the heck.
Well, this is the problem. You're serving a game to the public, and there's always some jerk out there, usually a kid, who thinks it'd be funny, to bring you to your knees.
Right.
You probably don't want to pay for it, but Linode does have DDoS protection. I'm sure they told you that.
No, they did not.
Okay.
But, regardless, I'm already paying like $60 a month for the DOS.
Oh yeah,
service.
you should be getting their apparently their basic DDoS is free to you, so no cost or maintenance for customers. So I would make sure you've got that switched on. And this is it's a shame. Our good friend Father Robert Ballesaire, he calls himself the Digital Jesuit. He works in the Vatican these days. He used to do shows for us, but got called by a higher authority. And he set up a Minecraft server for the Pope. It sounds like I'm making this up, doesn't it? The Vatican Minecraft server, and immediately ran into all sorts of problems from people who, for whatever reason, wanted to take it down. He said later, we did this to root out the evil in the land. All right, maybe he didn't say that exactly, but to find out who was going to cause problems so that we could then protect against them. And I think Robert now is running, in fact, not only a Minecraft server, he's got other games. He's got, I think, Rust and Factorio. And they have been able to run those because in the early days when he set up that Minecraft server, he kind of collected all of the addresses of all the people who are going to attack him. Anytime you put up a public server, whether you do it for the Pope or you do it for yourself, gamers are notorious. They just see it as another game, right? It's just another game. I'm happy to say you can read about it if you search for Vatican Minecraft server. You can read all about it. I'm happy to say Robert has figured out a way around it. I would check with Linode. The way a denial of service attack works, they flood your network with illegitimate requests. The way the internet is set up, your server has to respond to a request. It can't ignore requests or nobody'd get in. So if they flood it with requests and then just don't care but flood it with more requests, your server spends all its energy going, yeah, what? Yeah, what? Yeah. It's like as if they were tapping you on the shoulder. Yeah, what? Yeah, what? And doesn't have time to do the rest of its job. It basically brings it down. It's a DDoS, a denial. Actually, the D in DDoS, the first D is distributed denial of service attack, usually by flooding. So there are lots of companies. Amazon does this. A company called Cloudflare does this. Linode will also do it. They throw a lot of bandwidth, big fat pipes out there so that the flooding, doesn't stuff the pipe, doesn't fill it up. And then they mitigate quickly, and usually they can handle this within a few seconds. I have to say these attacks are getting worse and worse. Amazon just reported the largest DDoS attack of all time. It was able to mitigate it, fix it. The first D is the problem. Distributed means it's not just one computer attacking you. It may be many thousands attacking you. How does somebody get 1,000 computers? This is why we talk so often about keeping your system safe. It's not just for you. It's for everybody else out there. If your router has a flaw or a bug in it, and there are well-known router flaws, if your computer has a flaw in it, bad guys can take it over, commandeer it. You might not even know about it. And use your system and an army of other systems to clobber somebody's server, like Ben's. That's the distributed denial of a service attack. These attacks now are getting so virulent that and often it will be terabytes of data a second. Terabytes of data a second. Nobody can, provide that kind of big fat pipe, so that's why you have to go to somebody to mitigate it. It's a pretty technical subject. It's an important subject for anybody who wants to run a server, and that's the problem, Ben, is you've opened yourself up. As soon as you're providing a public service, welcome. Welcome to the public. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Chris Marquardt's back in town. He's been traveling around. He'll join us in about 15 minutes to talk photography. We'll take more of your calls, too, in just a bit. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hello, Chrissy. How are you?
Hello.
How did your Model 3 journey go?
Oh, without a hitch. It was the driving part was just as simple as you get it with a Tesla.
Nice.
The supercharger's almost all the way down. The Romania itself is a bit thin, but there's enough third-party ones, so it wasn't a big deal. It was good. I was hoping for it to be simple. I did not expect it to be that simple. So
awesome.
2,500 miles.
Wow. So you're ready to do that workshop?
Yeah. Next year, yeah.
Good.
It'll happen.
Good. That's great.
I went to check out Prague in a bit more detail. Spent some time in Budapest, which
very photogenic.
Which I've never been to before.
Oh, isn't it beautiful?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful. Great places. I was to the big market hall. It's like everything's there. It's good. And then I spent a couple of days with my friend in Transylvania, where we did some scouting of old fortified churches and things.
We always think of vampires, but that's not what is it like a normal country?
It's a normal country.
Okay,
It's not a super rich country, but it is like this. There's roads, there's paved roads and stuff. They have electricity, they have water. It's a regular country,
nice.
but very, very old and traditional stuff. It's like Tuscany from a climate point of view,
nice.
From a vegetation point of view, just in the east. They have great food. They have.
What was Transylvania part of? Anything?
Romania.
It's part of Romania.
It's the center of Romania.
Okay,
it's the middle of Romania.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
The Romania borders to the Black Sea, but I didn't go that far down. But yeah, Transylvania, the It's an old part that was always under siege by the Ottomans, and that's why they built like old fortified churches, like 150 of them. It was really photogenic to the max.
Nice. Sounds wonderful.
It's fun.
Sounds wonderful.
It's gonna be a fun tour.
I can't wait. And we're going to do, I have your photo review email, so we'll do that.
I'll drive the slides, and I have the fishbowl ready for the next one.
Nice. All right. We'll talk in 10.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
See you then.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Max is on the line, Lake Worth, Florida. Hello, Max.
Hello, Leo, my friend. How are you?
Oh, my friend Max. I'm well. How are you?
Good. First of all, I am not a virgin caller. You still want to talk to me? I know.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. Okay.
I want to make sure that's okay.
It's okay. You know what? It's up to Kim. She's the gatekeeper.
Yeah, she's very nice to me.
Did she say, well, I don't know, Max. I don't know.
But I complimented her on her dress, on her shirt.
Ah, see, that's the secret. Yes, that's the secret.
Exactly what it is. Yeah, I've learned a few things in my old age, you know.
Well, Max, I bet you're a sweet-talking fella.
Oh, no. I'm a very simple man.
No.
No.
You don't know how to sweet talk a lady.
Well, it depends on the lady and all that, but yes, I do. Yes, once in a while.
Kim, is he a sweet talking fella?
Yes,
absolutely. I thought he was. I could tell.
He sweet talked his way right on the air.
Let me put it this way: after you called, she put her flannel shirt on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she said, yeah, okay. What can we do for you, Max?
Well, this is regarding the BSOD Video DXG kernel fatal error Windows 10 on Dell XPS laptop.
A blue screen of death.
Yeah.
That's what BSOD stands for, the blue screen of death. Usually...
Yes.
BSOD, you usually don't get a BSOD. I never heard anybody call it a BSOD. You usually don't get a blue screen of death unless there is a significant error in Windows, because it means I can't go on. It can't recover. And usually that means there's a hardware problem, or some program accessed the most vital part of memory, what they call ring 0. And programs, user mode programs, are not allowed to do that. Only drivers are. So generally, if you see a BSOD, it's a bad driver or a hardware problem. Now, you gave me some more like numbers and letters. Tell me again what particular BSOD you're getting.
Essentially, the DS kernel fatal error.
Yeah. So, by the way, I should warn you that when you see all of that additional stuff, and then it does a memory dump and all that stuff, that's not for you. That if you
actually, I looked at it and I provided that to NVIDIA, but let me get to the point here.
Well, hold on, because you can't, because guess what? We've used up all the time. I'll talk to you off the air. NVIDIA is the right answer. It's a video card driver or a hardware failure. Chris Marquardt coming up. We're going to talk photography. So you talked to NVIDIA because that error said this is a problem with a video card. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, this happened, Leo, about 2 months ago when there was a new release of Windows, and I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are running on XPX, the 9560, Windows 10, running the same problem. We tried many things. Finally, the only way to prevent this is to disable the NVIDIA 1050 graphic card in the XPS.
Well, that's a fix. That's a fix. You spent a little money on that 1050 back in the day.
That's exactly correct. Now, the NVIDIA on 3rd of August posted on the Microsoft forum that they were able to duplicate the problem finally after people start submitting the memory dump. And they are working on the solution, but they have no idea when it's going to get done. In the meanwhile, Microsoft and Dell are very quiet. Nobody's saying anything about this problem. And people and users are pulling their hair because disabling the 1050 not supposed to be the option here, right? Because we paid for this laptop. Now,
so let me just tell you what's going on so you understand the back and forth. Microsoft pushed an update which broke the NVIDIA driver. Microsoft at this point is saying, NVIDIA, you need to fix your driver. NVIDIA is saying either, it's possible they're saying, oh, Microsoft, it's your fault because your update broke it, you need to fix it. Or they may be saying, that's an old card, we don't care about it, we're not going to fix it. Either way, there's nothing you can do, you disabled it. What I would suggest, though, as an experiment, is installing an older NVIDIA driver. So what happens with video card drivers is there's usually 4 or around 4 different drivers. Your card wasn't made by NVIDIA. Who was it made by? Asus, MSI, Gigabyte?
I don't know.
Yeah, so it was made by somebody else. So here's the 4 drivers that most video cards have. NVIDIA makes what's called a reference driver. So you should try all 4 of these, okay? And you should try earlier versions of all 4 of these. So NVIDIA makes a current reference driver, but they will also at their website have older reference drivers for that card. Okay. So that's one. The manufacturer also has a driver. So if you could figure out who made that card, it wasn't NVIDIA. They don't make cards. It was somebody else. You can get a driver from their site. Okay, so figure out who made that card, Gigabyte, MSI, whoever, Asus, and go to their site, see what their driver. And again, if the current driver continues to cause problems, go backwards to the one previous and the one after that. Microsoft also offers a driver, believe it or not, which may be what happened with the update, from the Microsoft Hardware Quality Lab. Those Hardware Quality Lab approved drivers are often the worst drivers, but worth trying. So there are a variety of different drivers that you can try, and I would try from all 3 sources: Microsoft, NVIDIA, and the manufacturer, whoever that is. EVGA is another manufacturer. There are quite a few manufacturers of NVIDIA video cards, so you can open your box up and look and see. If you can't figure it out, you probably could figure it out just by looking at the Windows Device Manager and see who the manufacturer is. So you're going to have to open that anyway to get rid of the old drivers. So try those and keep trying until you find one that doesn't crash. There will be one that crashes. It's time once again to welcome Chris Marquardt back to our microphones. He's been traveling all over Europe in his Model 3, testing out the experience for a workshop he's going to be doing next year. Chris Marquardt is not only a brilliant photographer, he's the best photo coach you'd ever find at sensei.photo, SENSEI.photo. And when he's not driving around Europe, when he's not going to Transylvania, Prague, and Budapest, he joins us on the radio. Hi, Chris. We missed you.
It's so good to be back. Glad to be here.
Good.
Yeah, it was a fun scouting trip, verifying that this is actually doable. Eastern European photo tour gonna happen next year. So,
and what great places to take pictures. I mean, beautiful places.
And we'll go from Berlin to Dresden to Prague to Vienna to Budapest into Transylvania. It's a photo road trip with a very tiny small group. So
it's probably already sold out. I would guess. Yes,
it's getting there. I'm doing 2, so one on the way down, one on the way back.
Oh, good.
So there will be several groups that can participate.
Sensei.photo. If you want to know more, is that the place to go? Where should you go?
It's a good place. Yeah.
Chris also hosts the longest running photo podcast in the world, Tips from the Top Floor, which is awesome. TFTTF.com. He does a future of photography podcast. He's got great books on wide-angle photography, film photography. He's a master of all trades. And this week, time to review our assignment. Friendly.
Time to look at photos. The friendly assignment is here, and people have submitted friendly photos. There's a lot of them, and I'm really happy with what we got. So I have again picked 3 photos to take a closer look at, and the first one is by Scott McLagan. Friends, interesting title, Friends 22A. So.
Oh,
anyway,
2 little puppies in a frisbee. Oh.
And okay, so this is one of those moments, and they're not just with a frisbee. They both have the frisbee in their mouths, returning it to their owner probably. And it's just one of these moments, which is. The friendly part of the photo is, of course, they are friendly. They are friends, probably siblings. But then on the other hand, it's also the shape of the frisbee that they have looks like a smiling mouth, which caught me when I looked at the thumbnail.
I didn't even think of that.
That's a bit of a subconscious thing going on there. Yeah. So for me, that was a one that I saw in the thumbnail and went,
It's no accident, I'm guessing, that all 3 of these have animals in them.
It does help, yes. So, second one by Kevin Case, a friendly goat. So what we see is a goat. Well, we do anthropomorphize animals. The goat is probably not really smiling, but it very much looks like it.
It looks like he is, isn't it? Yeah.
Teeth out, and seems to be fairly relaxed and happy lying there on the ground.
Goats are friendly. I will vouch for that. Sometimes a little too friendly. Don't let him in the house.
Yeah, and sometimes scary, but that's in their eyes.
He's got his eyes closed, I know.
That one has his eyes closed, so that helps. So, Kevin Case, friendly goat. And then last but not least, by Gregory Chesney, Smell You Later. And this is one of those moments. This is a candid shot, a street type of shot of a woman having the dog on a leash. She's on the phone, walking one way, and then there's another woman walking the other way, and the dog is pulling away on its leash because that other lady seems to be more interesting. So
been there,
it's one of these moments.
Every dog does that.
Of course it does, and it's one of these moments where you have to have the camera ready. It's one of these things that yes, you want to be ready. You don't want to have to unpack the camera first and take it out of its camera protection thing and take the cap off and switch it on. And this opportunity is gone in like within half a second.
Looks like this was taken out of the window of an apartment above, which is
probably
hysterical. Yeah.
Yeah. So good job, everyone. Really appreciate.
Nice.
Participating here.
Well, you know what this means. Time to go to the fishbowl.
The fishbowl is here. And of course, it's filled with adjectives, and I'm going to draw one out of here. And now it is going to be evil.
Evil.
How about evil?
Oh, I like that.
How about evil?
Ooh, that's a good talk about unfriendly. Oh, maybe you could get that goat picture back and open its eyes.
Open the eyes.
That would be evil. So the way this works,
idea, yeah.
it's not a competition. There's no prizes. It's really just to get you out there taking pictures. And incidentally, it doesn't have to be pictures with a fancy camera. I didn't look at the cameras on these, but I would bet you more than a few of them were done with smartphones. There's a Nikon D7000 for the goat. We don't know for the other one, but I bet you they're done with camera phones. That's okay. It's really just, the more pictures you take, the better you're going to be at photography. So go out and get an image that represents evil. Do not endanger yourself. No pentacles on the ground and no conjuring required here. But if you find one, you go, ooh, that's nice. Upload it to Flickr.com. That's a free photo sharing site. And send it to the Tech Guy group. Do us a favor and tag it TG Evil. TG for the Tech Guy and Evil, just so we know that that's your submission. Renee Silverman, our fabulous moderator of the Tech Guy group, will accept you into the fold. And Chris, in a month, will review all those evil pictures. You're taking a chance, Chris. You're really taking a chance.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right. And I want to reiterate that what you just said about cameras. When I did this scouting tour last week, I was out in the streets of Eastern Europe, and I'd say about a third of the pictures that I took there, just for scouting purposes, I took with my smartphone. And the cameras are so good now. The post-processing that's in those cameras in the pictures is so good that we really, it doesn't play any big role anymore.
No. It used to be, well, if you wanted a telephoto shot, you needed a long lens on a special camera. Not even that anymore. And Apple's new iPhone's coming out a week from Wednesday, and lots of rumors that its camera will be significantly improved. In fact, Apple's been stuck at 12 megapixels for several years, and apparently this will be a much higher megapixel count. Whether it will be...
That would be exciting.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Yeah. I shoot, as you know, I shoot with a Sony that has 61 megapixels. And, the advantage of that is you can crop it and zoom in effect. But honestly, most of the time, I just carry my phone with me. My phone.
It's the convenient option, and the quality is really amazing.
It's probably better than some of the great photographers of all time had. The Ansel Adams and the Henri Cartier-Bressons of the world, and probably even better than those. I don't know.
That's where it helps if you learn a bit more about composition and timing of photos and framing of things.
Yeah, that's the key.
That becomes even more important because the technology takes care of all the rest right now.
Yeah. Chris Marquardt is at sensei.photo, sensei.photo. Is everything there, like if people wanted your books or they wanted to see your photos?
Oh, yeah, you can find a link to my homepage there, and then that takes you to wherever you need to be.
Yeah, we don't send you to chrismarquardt.com because it's spelled so strangely. It's Marquardt. A few too many consonants, Chris. I want to talk to your parents about that. But if you just, or for the podcast, tfttf.com. Which is, by the way, a must listen. Thank you so much, Chris Marquardt. Welcome home, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls coming up. Very nice. Very nice. Evil. Boy, that's going to be very interesting. Wow.
I know. I left a few risky ones in there, so we'll see.
Evil. Yeah. I'm glad that came out because it's the perfect opposite to friendly. Yeah, you were in Transylvania. You could have gotten so many good evil shots. All right,
should have placed evil closer to Halloween. Anyway, it'll work out.
It's close enough. In fact, I think it's exactly because it's September 28th. Yeah, you're right. It's a month off. That's all right. Oktoberfest.
It's the rehearsal for
It's your
Halloween.
Oktoberfest pictures.
Oh, yeah.
All right, sir. Have a great week.
I've never been to real Oktoberfest.
What?
Never before, no.
Do you have to go to Munich? Is that...
Well, that's the official...
That's where you have to go. It has to be Bavaria, at least, yeah.
It's so full of tourists.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Locals.
I still have my lederhosen. I'm ready. If the call should come, I'll be in Munich.
If you come, I'll join you.
Shoot, it's too bad it's gotten... See, all the good stuff is now so jammed that it's no fun anymore. It's like it's been discovered.
There's alternative Oktoberfests in other places, but it's of course not the real.
Oh yeah, we have them here.
Real deal.
I mean, I can go across the street to Oktoberfest. Yeah.
I was at one in Dublin once.
Dublin would be fun.
That was weird. That was super weird.
Dublin would be very fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you in a week.
Bye. I know. In fact, I was thinking about that, Roberto, when I was mentioning that I used to give rides to visitors with ludicrous mode. I remember you said never again. Can't do that in the Mustang. I'm sorry. Only that was a foolish purchase I made with the Tesla. Never used it because I would black out. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Don't you say no one told me about you. No. We know. Got those evil ways. That's a good song for our photo assignment, isn't it? Yeah. Now I get it. Change your evil ways. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. David's on the line from Lake Arrowhead, California. Hi, David.
Oh, hey, Leo. This is David, and I'm a big fan of yours for a long time.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And, I'm one of those evil people who move from the city to the rural areas.
Oh, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Beautiful, right? Yeah.
But it's just, I'm confused because you also have a mixed message in one segment saying everyone should live in the city and give up their cars, but we're also celebrating this photographer who travels around Europe in his sports car.
It's an electric vehicle, though, I might point out.
I understand, but it's still,
No, look, I'm not saying, please. I'm not saying, this is more a fantasy than anything else. I'm not saying it's here. I get it. I have since I was a kid, I've had a fantasy. I've always thought, boy, it'd be really fun to bicycle on the interstates. Wouldn't that be awesome? Smooth.
I would love it.
Yeah. But then there's all these cars in the way,
I get it. So I know your guest said your heart was in the right place, and I feel that. Is there some way for us to use technology in order to, for example, help improve the grid so we can support people in the city, so we can fight crime better?
Yeah, I think we can get there if we have the political will. And that was Carmine's point, is politicians are never going to get behind this because it would be too unpopular. Yeah, he's right. He's right. It all requires the political will to do it. What is political will? It's the agreement, general agreement in society that we should be doing this. And sometimes it happens. In World War II, we all grew victory gardens. Not me, but our parents. Things, after 9/11, I think the country came together and had the political will. Maybe not the best idea to go after the culprits in the wrong country, but that's okay. That happens. So will we ever get the political will to, change the way this country's been built over the last 100 years? Probably not. Probably not. It's a little entrenched at this point. I would love to see, though, have you ever ridden the high-speed trains in Europe or Asia?
Oh, in Japan, yes. They're
the Shinkansen. Incredible. And
it's 20 seconds. It's never more than 20 seconds late,
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is when they tell you, you're going to have 2 minutes to get on, and you better be on because they're not going to wait for you.
Exactly.
They apologize if they're 20 seconds late. They go, "Oh, we are so sorry that we are 20 seconds late." But I don't think that's going to happen in the U.S. We're trying. I hope we do. I'd like to see that. I'd like to ride I have an electric bike, which means I can go almost anywhere comfortably, not faster than 20 miles an hour. So it wouldn't be a good interstate travel device, but I like getting around town on it. I'm just afraid to ride it because there's nowhere safe to ride it. There's barely anywhere safe to walk around here.
It's true.
They didn't even put in sidewalks in much of this area. So
yeah,
that's life.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to bring up that part of it.
I understand. It's a fantasy. I have a fantasy. It's not reality, and it may never be reality. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Keep up the great work.
Hey, thank you for calling. It's great to talk to you. No, this is a good conversation. How does change happen? Fantasy, right? You first have to imagine it. You first have to conceive of it before you can make it happen. So I don't think it's a bad thing to say, wouldn't it be interesting if we had good mass transit and high-speed rail and, if personal car ownership were, I don't know how you're going to get rid of that, right? People want their cars. Dwindle in our IRC chat says Star Trek was a fantasy and now we all have smartphones. Yeah, right? Yeah. In fact, it's absolutely the case. A great many of the scientific advances we have today were because when those scientists were kids, they read science fiction. And a lot of what people like Elon Musk are trying to do, including his Neuralink company, which is trying to create a human brain to machine interface, doesn't come out of, we really need this. It comes out of fantasy. It comes out of reading sci-fi and saying, hey, that'd be cool. The whole metaverse thing that Mark Zuckerberg and Meta spending $10 billion a year to achieve comes out of science fiction. It has to be imagined first. First, you have to dream it before you can believe it. Robert on the line from Newport Richey, Florida. Hello, Robert.
Yes, good afternoon. Love your show, Leo.
Thank you, sir.
You were talking about artificial intelligence earlier, and then just recently about evil. Well, I'll tell you how to put two of them together. On TV, there's a series on HBO Max called Westworld.
Oh, now let me ask you, because the last two, I'm still working on the most recent season. The last season I didn't understand at all. This season even worse. Do you understand what's going on, Robert? Have you seen the whole thing?
Well, the whole thing is, it's all about Evan Rachel Wood playing Dolores, the beautiful robot that you fall in love with. And then Anthony Hopkins is the evil creator of the whole Wild West park. And the point is that the robots or the cyborgs become so sophisticated, so aware of their abuses piled upon them that they become conscious, and then they begin a revolt. And so they create all kinds of havoc and chaos in the park. And, of course, Ed Harris has been there for 30 years as a guest, as a human guest, and he's been wreaking havoc himself by shooting up all the robots.
I understand it. You're brilliant, Robert. Thank you. That's a very precise description of it. Well done.
It's very well done, though, with the technology and Jeffrey Wright as
I love Jeffrey Wright. Yeah,
and he turns out to be a cyborg himself, created by Anthony Hopkins as a companion.
Spoiler alert! Oh my God! It's the other thing that really threw me after the first and second season of Westworld was it was out of order chronologically. And they didn't really let you know that. And then it all kind of crystallizes. So I figure, well, I'm kind of forcing myself to watch this most recent season.
Well, you know what it is? It's the modern way of writing
Inside out. Everything's inside out. Yeah.
Right. Prequel, sequel, sequel.
Yeah.
And you get, sometimes there's a color change in the video. It turns to blue for the past and Technicolor for the present.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware of that. You got to think real fast with this stuff, but it's so well done.
All right, Robert, you convinced me. I'm gonna give it another chance.
Yeah, I do.
But I do have to say, and we were talking about how sci-fi kind of drives science. Sci-fi has kind of consistently represented machine intelligence as dangerous, from HAL 9000 in 2001 to Colossus, the Forbin Project, Westworld, of course. It's always represented as a danger to us.
Well, you know what it is, Leo. It's very juicy bait on that.
It's juicy.
It's juicy. Buy these things.
Yes.
And down it goes.
But do you think
down your throat?
That's fiction? And maybe fiction will prove to be true. But I think it's also possible that I've talked to many artificial intelligence researchers, most famous Ray Kurzweil, who has been saying for some time the singularity is near, that it's just a matter of a few years before machines are as intelligent as humans. And I said, well, I say, well, that's a bad thing, isn't it, Ray? He says, no. I said, aren't they going to want to destroy us? He said, you've seen too many movies, Leo. They are going to love and respect us because we are their creators.
Well, that's what the people in Westworld thought too. But after a while, they get too big for their britches. Oh man!
Okay.
With all those guns on the set, it's going to be like
terrifying.
Like that other fellow.
Terrifying. And yet, by the way, even though science fiction tells us AI is not going to turn out well, we still are working as fast as our little brains can make it to create it, aren't we? We're not slowing down.
It's a big market. People want that bait on the hook to do anything for that glittery screen. Oh,
not looking forward to Alexa saying, "I'm sorry, Leo, I can't do that." Leo Laporte, the tech guy. But now, okay, okay, we're off the air, Robert, now. But,
right.
Okay, so Dolores I get. But then she, and I haven't finished it yet, who is this other character that Evelyn Rachel Wood is playing who doesn't know any? Is that going to resolve itself at the end? Like, that's Dolores not remembering who she is, or what?
Well, you know Maeve.
Yeah, I love Maeve. Yeah.
She was a beautiful. She played
Tandy is amazing actress. I love her.
Right,
Yeah.
wonderful. Sandy Newton.
Yep.
And she got to the point where she was fed up with the whole thing, and she started rebelling. But she got on the train that far to get out of the park.
Yeah.
The memory implanted in her as a backstory about her daughter getting murdered.
Right.
By the man in black.
Right.
Brought her back into the park because that's how powerful that backstory was lodged in her. So she was compelled to come.
I remember that. I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that. But remember, Dolores is now making up stories in this city.
Right. Well, she's rebelling. She's making up her own reality.
Oh, so it's still is that Dolores or who is that?
And then you know that William, the young guest that comes in with
and now William has showed up in Dolores's timeline, but he comes from the 100 years ago. I don't understand.
Well, William turns out to be the young man in black.
Well, that I know, but now in season 4 he's turned up in the wrong timeline. I don't.
Well, that's it. It's a back and forth thing, and it gets you confused because it's part of the AI. They want you to think as confused as the robots are.
It's working.
Confused, and it works.
It's working.
It you all around, Leo. It's fantastic.
Oh, so you finished season 4 then? Yes.
Yes.
All right. And is it worth it? Because I'm about halfway through, and I'm starting to go. I can't. I don't know what the.
It's going to get into you like Game of Thrones.
Okay, I'll keep watching it. I'll keep watching it. Hey, I really appreciate it, Robert. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, God bless, and take care, and thank you for the wonderful show.
Oh, you're too kind. Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay.
Take care,
Happy
Robert.
Labor Day coming up.
You too.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be working Labor Day. Still doing the thing. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, anything with a chip in it. You know, the computer stuff, the tech stuff. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. It's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Rod Pyle is in a rocket ship on his way up to us, but I don't know if the traffic is bad in space. So I hope he's going to make it before the end of the show because there's a lot of space news to talk about, including the Artemis. Monday, it's a first test of the Artemis rocket to go to the moon. This will be the moon that eventually will take humans back to the moon after how many years has it been? 30 years? Artemis 1 will do an uncrewed test flight tomorrow, if all goes well. Should be beautiful. If you're in the area, it'll be 8:33 a.m. Eastern from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. I love the night launches. It's not a night launch; it's a daytime launch. No humans aboard, although quite a few mannequins. And weird stuff, including an iPad with Amazon's Echo built in. Actually, no, the iPad. Okay, so there's. I'm sorry. The iPad is so that they can test the Echo. The iPad will be running Cisco's WebEx. By the way, guess who's paying for this? Amazon and Cisco, and maybe even Apple, right? Will be running Amazon's or Cisco's WebEx so that Mission Control can call the iPad and send commands to the Amazon Echo on board. And why are they doing this? Well, I'll tell you the real reason, because Amazon gave them a lot of money, but ostensibly so that astronauts can use voice commands. Oh, yeah, right. That's the way to do it. Put Amazon Echo. Sure. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Or worse, Motley Crue, girls, 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 playing now. No, that's not what. No, open the pod bay door now. Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water, playing. No. Anyway, it will actually go to the moon, orbit the moon. In fact, go beyond that, 40,000 miles beyond it in a what they call a distant retrograde orbit. The first woman And the next man to land on the moon, slated to arrive at the lunar South Pole late 2025, that'll be the third. So the first mission unmanned, mannequins only. Second mission will be manned next year or the year after probably, but they won't land on the moon. And then the third mission, Artemis 3, late 2025. And there will be a woman on it. If you get to Kennedy, you can watch it on NASA TV, but if you get to Kennedy, Jack Black will make an appearance. Chris Evans, who's he? Is he Captain America? Sure. Keke Palmer, don't know who that is. Performances of the Star-Spangled Banner by Josh Groban and Herbie Hancock, and America the Beautiful by the Philadelphia Orchestra and cellist Yo-Yo Ma. They didn't have this back in 1969, did they? When Apollo 11 went to the moon, there was nobody singing America the Beautiful on the way. NASA's gotten very sharp when it comes to public relations. They understand. Make this a show. Make this a show. Also, what makes it a show to me is the cameras on these vehicles now are so much better than they were back in the 60s and 70s. I expect beautiful images of the Earth and the moon from the Orion spacecraft. 42-day journey. It's going to travel to the moon, loop around it, return to the Earth, 1.3 million miles. It will get back splashing down off the coast of San Diego October 10th. But expect a lot of beautiful images. You'll also see Commander Munikin Campos. That's the mannequin who's, quote, and I'm doing this in air quotes, driving the vehicle. The mannequin or Munikin will be visible in the video feeds apparently. And in another tie-in, if you have an Echo, you can say, "Hey Echo, how's the mission going?" And it'll tell you. Well, I'm up here in space and it's going wonderfully. Wow. It's interesting because in 1969 there were no tie-ins with Camel, Coca-Cola. No, they had Tang, but I don't think Tang paid for it. Now they got an orchestra. They got Josh Groban. They've got Amazon and Cisco pouring money into this thing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's fascinating. I'm a cynic, but I will be watching. The countdown has already begun. Began this morning. And tomorrow morning, if we are a go, and sometimes, without Uncle Walter to tell us, well, we're on a hold, we won't, somebody will have to tell us that. 30-minute countdown will start 40 minutes before the launch. I don't know what that means. But that's what it says. A 30-minute countdown will start 40 minutes before the launch. The launch director will poll the team to make sure every station is a go. I love that, Go. We are go. 15 minutes before the liftoff. At 10 minutes and counting, things kick into high gear as the spacecraft and rocket go through the final steps. Much of the action, that's what CNN's calling it, action, takes place in the final minute as the ground launch sequencer sends the command for the rocket flight computer's automated launching sequencer to take over about 30 seconds prior to the launch. In the last few seconds, hydrogen will burn off. The 4 RS-25 engines will start, resulting in booster ignition and liftoff, if all goes well, at T-0. Well, I hope Rod will get here in time in his rocket ship, because I'd love to ask him about all of this. But if we get a chance, we will talk about it later in the hour. Meanwhile, let's go back to the phones. Jeffrey's on the line from Brooklyn. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi, good afternoon. I don't have a Mac, but I do have an iPad and iPhone, and I use iCloud to access my photos and assign it to different albums.
Yeah.
I know on the Mac they have something called Smart Album, which has the pictures where you have it assigned to other albums. But when you go on to the iCloud, they don't have that. So my general album, I don't know if I have them assigned to other albums. And I was wondering if there is a third-party app or something that might do that.
No, just do it on your iPad.
Yeah, but the iPad doesn't. When I do it on my iPad, it doesn't have the smart album.
Yeah, it does. So go into Photos, the Photos app on your iPad.
Right.
Right. And if you go to albums, you'll see My Albums, you'll see Shared Albums, you'll see People and Places, you'll see the categorization. You'll be able to add albums if you want. You create new albums. You can, using the People feature, add...
Yeah, I know, and I did that, and I signed on albums, but there's nothing called Smart Album, which says you have these photos in this Smart Album, and you haven't assigned them to sub-albums. It's just not there, as it is on the Mac.
Huh. I thought all the features of the photos was available on all platforms.
No, and that's why I'm calling you.
Oh, that's interesting. Let me see here. Yeah, okay. So, because I use that feature, I love that feature. A Smart Album automatically gathers and displays photos. For instance, I have a Smart Album with my wife, so that whenever I take a picture of her, it goes into Photos, it sorts it out, and then it shares it with her. Smart Albums you create on your Mac don't appear in Photos on your iPhone or iPad. That's interesting.
There you are.
Yeah. And you have to do it on the Mac. Yeah, I don't think there's a third party only because Apple wouldn't allow it. Wow, that's really weird. So why does Apple do that? Is that so that you have to buy a Mac? That's very odd. So the third party program that I would use is Google Photos, which is free.
Right.
And it will do that on the phone. Of course, it won't propagate to your Apple Photos, but you will at least have a way of seeing a Smart Album in Google Photos.
And I do have Google
weird.
Photos. I use it,
Yeah.
Saying it's weird. I figured, maybe you or I know Micah is an expert on.
I will ask Micah, but I can almost guarantee you Apple would not allow some third-party program to go in and do that. You could certainly, and this you could do, access your photos in a third-party photo program, for instance, Adobe Lightroom, and organize it in Lightroom, but it wouldn't propagate back to Photos.
Yeah, too much trouble. That's I do have, Amazon Photos. I do have Google Photos. Which has it.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but so I don't know. So.
Send a feature request. There is a link, and I'll put it in the show notes, to feedback for iPhotos for iOS and iPads. And just send them, if everybody listening would say, hey, come on, fix this, I bet you they would. I'm not sure. It doesn't make sense that they don't, to be honest.
And it's been that way for a long time. And Photos has been, God knows how long. So.
Yeah. That's really weird that they don't do that. And I'm trying to think of what the business rationale. I mean, certainly they wouldn't do that to make people buy Macs. That's nuts. There's enough horsepower, gosh knows, on your iPad. Your iPads, some iPads are faster than most Macs. So it's not a lack of horsepower. It's a strange thing that they wouldn't include it. It's not currently supported. The iPhone does not allow you to create Smart Albums, and you will not be even if you created them on the Mac, you wouldn't be seeing them on the iPhone. That is ridiculous.
Thank you.
That's ridiculous. Well, thank you for telling me, and I'll certainly ask Micah. Micah, besides joining us every Saturday on the radio show, also has a show about iOS called iOS Today with Rosemary Orchard, and that's the kind of thing they probably have talked about it. I don't know. If you go to twit.tv/iOS, you can see past episodes. But it's news to me. I didn't realize. It's funny. I guess I didn't, because I'm looking now on my phone and I don't see that album I created for my wife, the one that I share with her of pictures of her. That was a nice feature. I'm sorry, Jeffrey. I don't have a fix for that one. Maybe somebody listening does. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And if there is a fix, we'll go to put it up on techguylabs.com. I will put the link to the Apple site where you can complain. techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Unknown if Rod Pyle will make it here in time, but he's coming as fast as he can. As fast as he can. Meanwhile, the conversation continues with Lenny in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Hello, Lenny.
How are you, Leo?
Isla de Cantada. Good to talk to you. Welcome.
Same to you. My same viewer from you since the screensavers,
nice.
and all that stuff.
Nice. Isla del Encanto. What can we do for you today?
All right. We got two questions. The first one is about a satellite receiver that I have, a Hopper 3 from Dish. This receiver has been giving me a lot of problems lately, and it's rebooting all the time.
Oy.
I make the soft reset, the master clear reset, and I called technical support, and they told me that the problem is with the power supply, and that is very incorrect because the power supply has like 5 or 7 devices and is working fine.
Oh, they mean the power supply in the terminal box.
Exactly.
That's what they mean, not where you're plugging it into. And this is, by the way, something that does die frequently. So your Dish box does not have an external brick. It's inside the box. Is there, when you plug it in, is it just plugged straight into the wall?
Exactly. Yeah. Because I want to, sometimes there are power outages normally here, especially in the tropical hurricane season, and we need to have like a backup battery in some cases in my scenario. But the thing is that the dish is correctly pointed to the satellite, but the problem is with the receiver. When I called, they told me that for me, it's not a valid excuse.
Well, you can't. Okay, so power supplies, those bricks, external on laptops or internal on PCs and other devices. Lately they've been putting these inside the boxes. They fail. They do fail. They overheat. They get old. They fail. How old is the terminal, the receiver?
The receiver is like about 3 years.
Yeah. So it could be that the on-off power, because power in Puerto Rico, I know, is inconsistent. So it could be, it could be that. But I think these things die anyway. We have a lot of video cameras in the studio, and their power supplies die very remarkably frequently.
Okay.
So it is something you can do yourself if you feel like pretty handy, but you got to be careful because you don't want to open the power supply. There's stuff in there that can zap you, but it is possible. I bet you iFixit. I'm going to look and see if iFixit has a Dish power supply or receiver repair, because if they do, they do. So they could sell you the part. And then there'd be videos online. You could also look on YouTube. The trick is to get the part first.
Okay.
If you can get the part, you can replace it. Otherwise, you got to tell Dish, I need a new one.
Yeah, I will.
But they're going to charge you. They're going to charge you because it costs what, $400 or $500 to buy it in the first place.
No, but I have the insurance.
Well, then they should just. Then there's no conversation at all. Just say, I want a new one.
Yeah.
It's not when they say the power supply, they don't mean your power. I mean, they might, but too bad.
Yeah,
too bad.
Obviously, the other devices are working 100%.
Yeah.
Leo.
No.
It has to do something with the receiver.
It's them, and it is not at all unusual for these power supplies to fail. The capacitors, sometimes they overheat, they wear out. They should simply replace that.
And I bought these power supply in Costco, and the Costco they don't have any problems with the warranty and
no. That's not what they mean. I hope when they say power supply, it's not your power, it's their problem. Do you have? Is it a DVR? Do you have a lot of recordings on it?
Yeah, it's like a 50% on the hard. Something like that.
You will if they replace it. Probably you'll have to send it to them, and there's no guarantee you'll get it back. So
I also heard a rumor that it's going to be a new receiver.
Yeah, almost certainly that's what'll happen. Yeah,
or something like that.
Almost certainly that's what'll happen. They won't fix it; they'll just send you a new one. So get those recordings off if you can. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Oh, I see a hotline call. Hotline.
You'll just
Is that
talk
Rod?
to them when you get here.
Is that Rodney or what? He can't be on the air with us? What's going on? What? He's driving?
Okay,
well, if he's driving, he can't be on the air unless he wants to pull over. That's all right. It's all right. It's okay. Yeah, you could take the hard drive out and ship it to him without the hard drive. I don't know if they'd take that. I don't know. Lenny, you said you had something else you wanted to ask too?
Yeah, I have an Ultra Gear GP9 gaming speaker that I bought recently on a Prime sales event. And the thing is that the gaming speaker is compatible with the PlayStation 5 with a USB connection, but with the Xbox Series X, they eliminate the optical drive, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the problem is that they don't synchronize Bluetooth or even USB. So it's a frustration that I have.
The only possible solution is they do have HDMI out of that Xbox. Does the soundbar have HDMI?
The soundbar doesn't have an HDMI.
A lot of soundbars have pass-through, so you put the HDMI from the Xbox into the soundbar, and then it passes it through, and then you plug it into the TV. Because there is audio on HDMI. So if the soundbar doesn't have HDMI, I don't know what you're going to do. Oh, I know what you could do. If you had an AV receiver, you could plug the go put the Xbox through the receiver and have the receiver feed.
Yeah. I got an LG Ultra Gear display monitor, but the problem is that the only ports that it has the DVI port and the HDMI.
It doesn't have an optical out?
Auxiliary, it only has the auxiliary headphones, but it doesn't work.
Oh, nuts.
Anyway, I will wait for the update from Xbox to see if they can synchronize Bluetooth devices on the meantime, and then I can use that. So I suppose that.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, Leo, it's nice to meet you. My name is Lenny here. Call sign is KP4 TV, like television.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Hear you in the meantime.
That's great. KP4 TV, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, it's great to meet you at W6TWT. Have a great day. 7-3.
Very good. 73s, and have a good future Labor Day weekend too, okay?
Thank you. You too, Lenny. It's good to know you're listening in beautiful San Juan. I love San Juan. Hey, we do have Spaceman Rod Pyle. He is on the phone. So play Elton John. Over. Play Elton John music. He's in his rocket, but it's not quite fast enough to get here from all the way from San Jose. Rod Pyle, space guy, driving up. Hello, Rod.
Hey, so 4 days of flights to get back from the Arctic, and now it feels like 4 days on 19th Avenue.
Oh, you're on 19th. Oh, you won't be here for a while. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Working it.
Isn't it funny? You know, you can get on the Artemis and you could be in the moon in a couple of days, or you can get stuck in traffic on Highway 280. Anyway, welcome home. Are you glad to be back?
Yeah. You know, the weirdest part of it was it's a long way back. It's 8 stops and that many flight segments to get back. And, you know, you're really victimized by the weather up north if anything changes and there's fuel shortages and these little short jump prop planes and all that. But the weirdest thing was getting to, I guess it was Ottawa, where we were transiting, and we spent the night, and it got dark. I hadn't seen nighttime for
your first night in 30 days. Wow.
Yeah, it was like, oh, wait a minute. That's right.
The sun does go down.
It was really quite odd. But I have to tell you, as a photographer, and I'm not at the level you are or the others are, you know, that are part of your club, but to have a 3 to 4 hour sunset every night.
Oh, wow. Plenty of time. The golden hour is golden 8 hours.
Yeah, because we used to, when I was working TV spots, you know, we used to break our backs all day to try and get that 3-minute spot just before sunset.
We're losing the light. Oh, no, we're not. Never mind.
The colors change and the clouds come and go.
Beautiful.
And it was really something.
So your reports are at space.com, and then you're going to put them on your own publication at Astra, space.nss.org. So if people want to read more. Now, I'm sorry that you're not going to be in Florida tomorrow morning for Artemis's launch.
I'm not.
You're not?
Nah, you know what? I mean, that rocket's going to launch at least 4 times because they got 4 sets of leftover shuttle parts to use up. And they've got a flight manifest that includes at least 4 missions, probably more, but at least 4. So I want to go for the second one.
Okay.
When you go and there aren't 2 million other people who see it.
I don't need Josh Groban singing the Star-Spangled Banner personally. They're making a party out of this one.
Yeah.
Is that all just PR? Is that what's going on?
Well, it's partly that, but not PR in a negative sense. I mean, the agency, NASA's trying to learn how to do this stuff better. And as you remember, back in the Apollo days, it was all engineers and PR hacks doing the T-minus 14 and counting main engine start and all that stuff. And, you know, that's what we grew up with, and I respected that. But now they are trying to reach out to a broader audience and make it a little more appealing. And, you know, it get a little tacky at times when they start reading all the advertisements for the sponsors of the rocket when it's taken off, whether it's, you know, Lockheed Martin or whoever. But they are trying to do a better job, and it's going to be interesting to see. I just, you know, so 5:33 tomorrow morning, local time, 8:33 Eastern time. I'll probably be up, but I really don't expect it to go for many hours because
4K stream on YouTube if you want to watch NASA's stream. It should look beautiful. I think it's a really goofy thing that they're putting an iPad with Cisco's WebEx on it up there with an Amazon Echo so that they can test open the pod bay door, Hal. But, you know, it's corporate money. It helps defray the costs, so I guess it's okay.
And just don't, please, if you're ever riding in the Orion capsule, don't mention that your best friend got fired for his job, or it'll probably fire the thrusters and send you off into solar orbit or something. And it's as you point out, it's a really miniaturized system. So, of course, it's local to the capsule. It's not going back to servers at Amazon. So it's probably going to be pretty low fidelity in terms of what it can handle. But, you know, for the basic functions, okay, what's our fuel load? Do we have any?
They won't accidentally play Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation when you ask them to check the fuel. It's good. I like that. That's good.
Well, who knows?
They might.
I mean, that part of, there were a lot, you know, during the Apollo program, we didn't hear about it at the time, but there were lots of gotchas that the other astronauts did for their friends going up there. So you know, you're Pete Conrad, you'd get to the moon on Apollo 12, you'd open your cuff notebook to start looking at chores, and somebody's taped pictures of Playboy Playmate of the Month in there. Be sure to look for the hills, you know.
That's hysterical. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys.
That's why you can find, if you listen to those old downlinks of the moonwalks, you can hear every now and then they start laughing for no reason. And that's why it's all these practical jokes they're playing on each other.
How fun.
But we won't see that on Artemis for a while. And, you know, it's a more mature, politically correct NASA, so I doubt that'll make its way into the new mission. But, you know, so we got a launch window tomorrow, and then on the 2nd, and then on the 5th. So personally, I won't be surprised if it slides because Boeing's been struggling to get this rocket launch since their first projected date was 2016. But, you know, it might just take off first thing in the morning.
Wait a minute. You mean it's 6 years late?
8 years late.
8 years late? Holy cow.
No, you're right. 6 years. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, now we know Rod can't do math, so don't send him up.
On the radio.
Oh, good news. There's an Amazon Echo, and it can do math, so you're all right. You're
there you go.
You're protected.
In the right mood then. Yeah.
That's the big space story. Is there anything else going on in your space world, in your space suit?
You know, I haven't really had a chance to get caught up because we got in late last night, and I had to hit this morning. But let's see, what have I heard? There was something we were just, you know, it was so frustrating up there because all I could do was reach out to you via GPS text because we couldn't even get our email to work.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
A web connection.
You were really practically on Mars. We'll talk about that. Rod is driving up so we can talk. You missed the radio show, but we'll talk on our podcast, This Week in Tech. You'll be one of our panelists, so we'll have lots to ask you. I'm going to let you continue your drive so that you get here.
Okay.
And we'll wait for you, Rod. Don't worry.
Thank you. No sweat.
All right.
I'll just come quietly if I'm late.
Tiptoe in. Don't. Apparently, there is going to be a 360-degree VR experience of the launch. According to Scooter X, that's kind of cool. If you go to space.com, how to watch NASA's Artemis 1 moon launch live in a 360-degree VR experience. I saw the camera that they're using, which is pretty close. So I wonder if it's going to get destroyed by the launch itself. It's a little weird to have 360 degrees of it because really you're going to be looking at the rocket. What are you going to, you look backwards, is nothing. So but hey, if it's, you feel like you're there right on the launch pad, okay, I guess. What will you need to do that? You'll need one of those 360-degree VR devices, an Oculus Quest headset. Felix and Paul Studios are going to be bringing that to the Oculus Quest. You could also watch it on Facebook on the Space Explorers page. Of course, that won't be VR. I mean, it will be 360 degrees, but it won't be VR. You can use your mouse to turn around and see what's going on behind you. That's about it. They're also, though, and I think this is kind of cool, going to broadcast it to 200 domes and planetariums around the world. So you might, if you're near a planetarium, you might check and see. That would be cool to watch that launch there. And of course, with those big speakers, many planetariums have very nice sound systems. It could really rumble your way into space. Looking forward to seeing that. It's going to be, I'm glad the space program is back, and I'm glad Rod is there to cover it for us. Rod Pyle is the host of This Week in Space at twit.tv/TWIS. He does that with Space.com's editor-in-chief, Tarek Malik. And it's a great show every week, talking about all things space. Of course, Rod joins us every Sunday. Soon he'll be back on planet Earth to talk about space. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're not done yet. One more segment to go before the weekend ends. You give me a ring, 8888 Ask Leo. We'll take to the phones after this. Thank you for letting me be your tech guy this week and every week. I really appreciate it. Thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director. She really does a great job keeping the hits spinning. To the wonderful Kim Schaffer, who answers all your calls. Thanks to all of you who called, and thanks most of all to those of you who merely listen. You too serve. Because without you, they wouldn't let me do this. No way. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. A few more calls before we wrap things up. Let's go first to Westchester, New York. Richard is on the line. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Leo. Number one, thanks for being here. You brighten some of our technical days. So thank you.
That's very nice of you. Thanks. I appreciate it.
So I'm struggling again with an LG TV current and connecting to Apple mini speakers. I put a couple in the house, and I love the sound, and they're just so easy to set up. But I don't know how to wirelessly jump from the LG TV to the speakers. It's a tough one.
Yeah, that's an interesting conundrum. I know people have set up those HomePod minis to do it. You don't want to do wireless, and that's really your only choice generally because wireless means there's going to be some delay. If you do you have an Apple TV? That's really the first question.
Absolutely. Yes, I do.
Okay. So the good news is that's what it takes. You can do that. And the Apple TV is going to use AirPlay as opposed to Bluetooth to connect to those speakers. So hallelujah. But you have to do it in the Apple TV. So assuming that they're both on the same Wi-Fi and they're assigned to the same room in the Home app, believe it or not, do you have two of them to create a stereo pair?
Oh, yes, I've got more than two.
And then assign that stereo pair. Two's plenty. I guess you could use more. I don't know. I'm looking at Apple's instructions. Assign that stereo pair to the same room as your Apple TV in the Home app. So apparently the Home app wants to see them both in whatever it is, living room or whatever you've set it to be. Once you do that, if you turn on your Apple TV, it'll say, "Oh, there's some HomePods in the same room as me." You don't have to do anything else. It'll just pop up, and it'll say, "Do you want to use those speakers as Apple TV speakers?" And you say, Why, yes, I do. Thank you very much for asking, and you're done. So really, there's only one trick, and that is to put them both in the same room.
Which I will do, and if for some reason Artemis doesn't take off, you know what I'm doing.
Oh, it's you. You're responsible, huh? You're the engineer, the flight engineer. That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be good to watch on your big screen LG TV. It should look really, really nice in 4K.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. I have heard of people using more than 2. That would be, I don't know how to do that. That would be interesting. Incidentally, if you don't see the setup screen, there is a way to do it manually. If you go to settings, video and audio output, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to put in the show notes and in our chat room, I'm going to put a link to the Apple description of how to do this. And it is theoretically possible as long as you have an Apple TV. That's, I guess, the only criterion. You absolutely have to have an Apple TV to do this. I'd be curious if you can.
Excellent.
Thank you,
right
Richard.
On target. And I wanted to apologize if at the beginning of the summer I asked you the same problem, and you had come back from COVID, and I thought I had treated you poorly.
What?
I didn't cut you enough slack.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. If I was on the radio, I deserve whatever opprobrium you threw at me.
But you're such a trooper to be out there right after COVID. And I did skip one show, but I came back the following week only because I tested negative. I didn't come in without testing first, of course, as I do every week when Mike is here. I don't want to get anybody sick, that's for sure. But you're a trooper. The show must go on.
The show must go on.
We appreciate it. By the way, I'm the guy who, sorry to interrupt you, who was saved by his Apple Watch a year ago.
I remember, Richard. Yeah. No, I'm so thrilled for you. That's great.
And your suggestion about the Cardia was spot on.
Oh, good. Isn't that great? Kardia. It works with your smartphone, and it's a 2-lead EKG that you can, for I think it was $100. It's really inexpensive from AliveCore, and it's really a good thing for anybody who has had AFib. It's a good thing to have. They even have a credit card version of it now, the Cardia mobile card, Kardia.com. Well, Richard, I'm glad you're with us.
They also put out a 6-lead Cardia.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, I'll let you go. I know you got a lot going on. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, Richard. Good to talk to you. Let's see. Charles is next. Sugarland, Texas. Hello, Charles.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Good. Hey, listen, I'm going to be taking a cruise, Alaskan cruise.
I just got off an Alaskan cruise.
I know. That's why I'm calling. I'm in the market. I'd like to get a camera, and I want to get it now or by the end of the year so that I can learn to use it. And I have a digital SLR, which I really don't want to take, and I'm looking at the new mirrorless cameras. But I also want to get your opinion, because I know there was a person on the cruise who you raved about some.
Oh, he had the Nikon, the new Nikon. Yeah.
I looked at that. I don't want to spend. I was at $4,000. I think.
Yeah, it's expensive. The Z7.
I don't want to spend that much.
No.
Half of that. No. To get some really good wildlife pictures, and we're doing the train north and cruising south.
Oh, how fun!
We're gonna be, so we're really looking forward to it.
That train ride is a gorgeous train ride too. You're doing it right. That's great. So the reason obviously the Z7, $3,000 body alone, that's pretty pricey. But he had also some very long lenses with that, and I think when you're going somewhere where you want wildlife pictures, whether it's bears catching salmon, or bald eagles, a long lens, a telephoto lens is critical. And that's why, you know this, you have a DSLR. That's probably what you do with your DSLR. You have a variety of lenses. The nice thing about mirrorless, the bodies are smaller, but the lenses aren't. It ends up being a little disproportionate. Tell me about your DSLR. What make do you have now?
I have all Canon equipment.
Okay.
And,
so you would probably want to look at a Canon mirrorless because you can use your existing lenses with it.
Oh, I didn't know if you could.
One of the advantages of mirrorless, in fact, you could probably use your Canon lenses with almost anything. I use mine with a Sony. One of the advantages of mirrorless is you can get adapters. Because the sensor is so close to the front, you can get adapters that will let almost any lens work with almost any body. So get an adapter, a Canon adapter, and you will be able to use those Canon lenses with us. I use Sony. Sony's very good. They're less expensive models as well. And if you're content not to have full frame, you'll really save with APS-C. We just bought a Micro Four Thirds camera for Lisa that she loves, which is her Olympus OM1. Another great choice. I wouldn't put those Canon lenses on it because they're big and the OM1 is small. But the new OM1 is excellent as well. Unfortunately, it's also a couple of thousand bucks. Hey, we're running out of time. Somebody says, Big Island says the RX10, I do agree, from Sony is a great choice. It will go to 600 millimeters. It's a fixed lens, but much more compact. I do agree. The RX10 is a great choice with the Sony sensors, and it's zoom lens built in. So that actually might be the right way to go. Thank you, Big Island. I'm out of time. I thank you so much for joining us. Remember, all the show notes, everything I mentioned, will go at techguylabs.com. This is episode 1922. I wish you a great Geek Week, and I hope I'll see you right back here next time. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.